100,000 to be exact.
What?
I have his signed promissory note. I am not leaving until he pays me.
Why does he owe you that much money, sir?
Lost him playing poker. This isn't the first time he owes me money. If he doesn't pay up, I have no choice but to sue him.
I just called to let him know that his son has passed away.
Osvaldo is dead?
What? He was just fine yesterday.
No, I wasn't talking about Osvaldo. It's Betito.
Betito? I think there must be some mistake. Mr. Julio doesn't have a son called Betito.
Wait a minute, Juana.
In love with Ramon.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. $1 Million Face baby.
Tutakosana wewe vibaya sana. Kuleta wase usiku mwanzena usemi.
Uni relative.
Mnadozaje? Room yako iko na bed moja tu.
Atutamani si for long. Yaani mimi nakuleta hapa, alafu unanionyesha madhara.
Sinakwambia Tony amejipanga. Ukiona nyumba.
Unajua leo ni 30. Unafaa kunilipa dola rent.
Leo ni 30. Imefika haraka.
Yaani ati niko town na nakunywa maziwa yako jikamuria. Nimekuja.
Uko smarter than Buddha.
Naitwa Taylor made suit.
Look at you all, up and running, ready to get ready with a Tuesday. It's raining. You made to surprise tu hivyo asubuhi. But thank you so much for coming. Asanteni sana kwa kuja. Welcome to the only way to kickstart your morning. Good morning, Kenya. My name is Samuel Njoroge, and just, it's Tuesday, so kwanza nakakuot tu simbaya. And one here reads, people visit my past more than I do. I don't live there anymore. I sold the whole damn building.
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Oh, yes.
The oh yeses you're hearing are from my co-anchors, co-presenters. Hi, Regina.
Hi.
Professor, how are you doing?
I'm very well.
Everything all right?
Yeah. Okay, everything
nice.
is in place.
I saw what you did there.
Oh, wow.
Jane, looking good in mustard.
Yes. You got it. Clap for boy child. Amejaribu sana.
Director naita yero. Lakini ni sawa tu.
Amekuambia this season.
Ndori.
This season ya maembe.
So ana represent.
Mad.
Ndori.
Is VP.
How are you?
I'm good.
Everything all right?
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell, what bridges are we mounting today?
I said by the yesterday that this week we won't be looking at any bridges. We won't be focusing on different works. What we'll actually be focusing on is major roads, and not major but minor roads as well as slip roads, because I actually got to understand over the weekend that people don't really understand the difference between a minor road and a slip road. And also on most of these minor roads as well as slip roads, especially in the country, there hasn't been any ongoing works, and specifically for slip roads, they are very, very important, since just as I mentioned, these are roads that either get you on or off a major road or a highway. So just as we did yesterday, looking at some two major slip roads, that is the same thing we will be doing today. And today our focus will be along Ojiji Road. This is coming all the way from Parklands as you come to the city center, as well as Kipande Road coming all the way from Westlands coming to the CBD. So these are two major slip roads that we'll be focusing on this Tuesday, and also the rest of the week we'll be just focusing on slip roads as well as some minor roads, even as I tell our viewers the difference between these two as we continue to look at the different, as we continue to look at traffic on our different links today.
So slip low.
Uliza too.
Oh, let me take over. Have some sip of water.
But before you actually come in, Ray,
yes, Mama.
I think
that is me downing the garment and wearing a new one. Slip road ni SL IP.
Yeah.
Okay, so it slips you into another road. Into a major road, you said?
Yes, into either a major road or a highway. A case in point is like the way we were looking at State House Road or even Nyerere Road yesterday. That is a road that comes all the way to Uhuru Highway, which is a major highway. You
Okay.
get? Or we can look at Muranga Road, the way again we looked at yesterday, is a road that comes all the way to the city center from Thika Superhighway. So those are sleep roads.
You know,
Okay.
the
Hii kama tingine ya roho chafu kuna nini leo?
Wacha waboya kona kitu ya kusema.
Kunicheka cheka tu au wako huku juu.
Hata wewe ulikuwa unamcheka akisema active.
Agree with him.
D, I think in order to capture
Yes,
audience
yes.
wetu wote,
Yes, yes.
unaweza sema sleep roads aka machuom.
Actually, Machuom ni minor roads.
See sleep roads?
Because
Hapana.
minor roads.
Sleep roads ni tu
how
that
min-
gets you. Hapo ndio umetudanganya.
You see how a minor road is described is a road that is of less importance to the one that it's joining. So meaning either ikue ama isikue, bado utaenda penye unaenda because ziko twingi. Ehe.
Hiyo ni minor ama sleep?
Hiyo sasa ni minor because it's described as a road of less importance to the one that it's joining. So it means whether this road exists or not, you can still go to where you want to go because there are so many of those two roads, two tiny roads. Actually, I'll be showing you some of them even as you look at Ojiji Road. Sleep roads is a road that either gets you on or off a major road. So it's a very instrumental road.
You function.
Okay. Please, let
Is
me.
it traffic update ni traffic analysis?
But hiyo chuo tutaziangalia Wambo to get all our audience.
Chochoro na barabara.
Hii ni traffic analysis, this is traffic update.
Okay.
But ni muhimu sometimes.
Very, very important.
Aya.
Okay,
Regina,
you were saying?
Ray, you were saying?
Chochoro to chuom to sleep roads. Anyway,
You don't
that's
know what
what
a
we're going
chuom
to-
is?
That.
Mwambie.
Now,
Wachaneni na
let's
professor.
focus on stories that are making headlines in the last 24 hours. And Kenya is a sick nation as the health sector continues to bleed. And I would take this moment to just read a post by the late Dr. Stephen Mogosu, who passed on yesterday. And his story has been highlighted both on mainstream media as well as social media. So kindly, producer, as you take a moment of silence, let's read his post in 2018. And since it's long, let me just start off from the middle where he says, I changed my dressing, my acting, my thinking towards success, and was met with a lot of resistance and ridicule by my classmates, but I knew what I wanted really, and it really didn't matter. I had my eyes on the prize. A caveat on that is people now judge me as being serious and OCD because of it. Well, who doesn't want to be smart? I'm going to look weird to make people happy. My past experiences in life have shaped the man that I am today. Of course, dramatic change is preceded by dramatic events, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I am more calm and composed, and I assess the consequences of one action vis-a-vis another. The fire of a young blood is calm now. However, oppression of people does still get my gears going, especially when I know I can do something about it. I'm very passionate about helping, and that's why I joined medical school. I do not set the goals for myself. I find it too limiting. I set the final destination and work towards it. I'm playing the long game towards my success, and I'm getting there. That's a post in 2018 by the late Dr. Stephen Mogosu, who is the latest doctor to succumb to COVID-19. His story has continued to resonate, especially on social media, where now health workers are saying it's a high time that government invested more on them. We're saying this is a sick nation, and from the front page of most of the dailies that we have in studio with us today is that patients are stranded as health workers strike heat services. We're going to be focusing on the ripple effect this is having on a health sector when the globe is, combating a pandemic that with no cure in sight. Our health workers are calling for more care and concern from the government. These are some of the stories we're going to be focusing on, including former Premier and ODM party leader there responding to matters of BBI, and his quote on health workers has been trending, and I'm sure you come across it on Twitter. Remember that we are live and we call for your feedback. We are live, www.kbc.co.ke. You can get further details, but keep your feedback going, especially when it comes to matters of the health workers. Good morning once again. Glad to have you on board.
Moment of silence here.
Right, so we want to look at traffic, and this is actually our fast link this Tuesday. I will be focusing on Ojiji Road, at least for this fast link, but on our different other links today, we shall also be looking at Kipande Road, which is, again, as I mentioned, the road that comes all the way from Wayaki Way through Westlands as you head over to the city center. So I want us to start from this specific road. This is actually as you leave Parklands Road, just before you get to the roundabout, as you head over to the city center. There hasn't been any road works, if I can mention, or even just the way we see on some other major roads as well as highways on on this particular one. Now look at how it is looking like in terms of traffic. Green all through. So again, anytime you see green, just as it is right now, it just means that there's no traffic at all moving at a really, really fast pace. So for our viewers coming from the areas around Parklands, or if at all also you're coming from Westlands, using this specific route as you come all the way to the city center, then clearly this is just the best time for you to do that, because as of now there's no traffic, green all through, and the beauty of that is that this is actually on both lanes. Now, for this particular road, when I say both lanes, it just means as you leave the areas of Westlands using Parklands Road before you join to Ojiji Road coming all the way to the city center, as well as leaving the areas around CBD, leaving the areas around Globe Roundabout, using the same route, which is what you're looking at, Ojiji Road, just before you again get to Parkland. So that is what I mean when I say on both lanes on this specific one. And then that is just all green all through, meaning that there's no traffic. However, traffic begins to slightly build up before you get to Ojiji Road. This is actually along Parklands Road, just on a small section, and this is just before you get to that roundabout there. But look at this specific one. This is not one of those, if I can say, major roundabouts, because this one just comes from Parklands Road going to Ojiji Road, as well as the other side of Parklands Road. So ultimately makes it not one of those busy roundabouts. And also look at how it is looking like. It's green all through. Again, what that simply means is that there's no traffic at all moving at a really, really fast pace. And that's why I was saying, for our viewers coming from those areas that I just mentioned, then this is clearly the best time for you to do that. So how about we briefly look at what is our focus this morning? And this is actually Ojiji Road, just coming all the way from Parklands. Now, why I wanted to show you about Parklands is simply because this road comes all the way from Parklands before you branch off there. And this is again also how it is looking like. No traffic at all, green all through, moving at a really, really fast pace. Again, that is also the beauty with most of these slip roads. Unlike, the major roads as well as highways, there's normally, barely any kind of traffic on most of this road, just like how yesterday it was along State House Road. So this is the same situation also this morning along this particular road, no traffic at all. And actually this goes all the way just from where it begins, from that particular roundabout there, coming all through with the same route, coming all through just before you get to the other side of Kipande Road. Again, actually that's roundabout there, just before you get to the roundabout. So also where traffic begins to slightly build up is actually on a small section there, just as you leave the same route, again, before you get to this roundabout. Also, this is not one of those major roundabouts. So again, also one thing I can mention is that at least on roundabouts that are not so, the major roundabouts, the kind of traffic also is really quite a manageable kind of traffic. Now, this specific one just comes from Ojiji Road, branching off to Kipande Road, which is again one of those roads that we'll be looking at. But at least on this, actually on this specific one, traffic just begins to slightly build up. It's unlike the other one as you leave Parklands and joining to this specific route. So just as I mentioned, today we'll be looking at those two slip roads, Ojiji Road as well as Kipande Road. And, given the road situation as of now, ultimately we don't have to look at alternative routes. But as you continue looking at traffic flow this morning, we'll probably be trying to look at those ones for our viewers coming from areas around Westlands as well as Parklands coming to the city center.
Right, so it's time for us to go through the dailies and exactly what is happening therein. I have the Star with me this morning, and there is a COVID recovery plan worth 929 billion Kenya shillings. This is unveiled courtesy of the Ministry of finance, or what we call treasury, and state plans to spend the money on health, education and security. And thus the headline, Uhuru's 929 billion COVID-19 recovery plan. Now, out of this, what they're saying that they will allocate the health sector 1.1 billion Kenya shillings will go to buying hand sanitizers and soap, as well as masks for schools ahead of the reopening in January 2021. Now, this story is on pages 4 to 5 of the Star this morning, and captured there in form of a picture is the 25-minute dash to JKIA will cost you 500 Kenya shillings. And pictured there is Gilbert Kibe. He is the KAA CEO, by the way, and Transport CS, James Mashari, and Kenya Railways MD, that is Philip Mahinga, inside one of the JKIA express trains yesterday. We'll be getting more details of these in the course of time, courtesy of traffic, courtesy of Dorina Ranke, okay? We'll be getting more in as far as that is concerned. To the top there, a woman linked to Senator's collapse faces attempted murder charge. I'll be giving you details in as far as this is concerned when I get to page 3 of the Star. And page 2, this is just a story I can fail not to highlight. It's all about Dr. Stephen Mogusu, just 28 years of age, who died of COVID. And his passionate appeal and plea to his fellow doctors was, please save yourselves. Among the last pleas, or the last plea he had, was for fellow doctors to save themselves. And that story is right there on page 2 of the Star. Save yourselves, Dr. Mogusu's last words. And I mean, fighting to breathe through COVID is it's not a joke, it's not a comfortable affair. But this comes at the wake of complaints from those in the medical fraternity about the availability of PPEs, the quality of the same, that is the PPEs, and how their welfare is being taken care of by ministry and even by you and me, because the more we become irresponsible, the more we expose the country to these kind of scenarios. So page 2 of the Star has that story for you.
All right, let's now move on to the Daily Nation, and that's a story in regards to Dr. Stephen has also been given prominence here on the front page of the Daily Nation, and it has been titled "The Pain of a Strike," and this is also in regards to another gentleman who died after failing to get medical attention when he was at a hospital because of the strike by health workers that is currently ongoing, of course, in line with the day that another doctor succumbed to COVID-19 complications. I'll be giving you details of how that story has been captured here on the Daily Nation. But looking at the top there of the paper this morning, Governor Mike Sonko alleges bribery plot in a 38 billion budget impasse, where he says there's some MCAs who were given per diem to travel to Dubai but failed to do so and did not surrender that money back. This also comes after his impeachment. He's now being said to be spilling the beans of these corrupt dealings that are going on in the government. Also at the top right there, teacher has been charged with attempted murder of Machakos senator, and she was also denied bail because investigators say that she frequents that particular establishment and could interfere with the investigations as they go about recording statements from witnesses and the employees, that is, who work there. Now, getting to the main story here on the front page of the Daily Nation, opposition says that referendum is not an exam. These are the words of Raila to Deputy President William Ruto as Uhuru and Ruto allies hold secret talks. They seem to have held these secret talks over the weekend, and they have a deadline of Friday to come up with this, the solution that they will have come to. with the DP's camp saying that they are ready to mount a fresh drive for signatures in support of the referendum if the proposals that they have fronted are accommodated. And some of these proposals includes the number of MPs to be reduced to a maximum of 50, including 47 women representatives in the National Assembly and another 47 in the Senate. They also want the current Elections Act to be used to craft multiple questions for the referendum instead of having a yes or no contest. But ODM leader Raila Odinga has said we will have none of that. Details will be coming up in not too long. And finally, here on the front page of the Daily Nation, in regards to the education sector, the move to stop funds to private universities. This is a proposal that was put forth by officials in the Ministry of Education and the Vice Chancellors of public universities. All this and so much more will be coming up in not too long. But first, we take a break. We'll be right back with more of Good Morning Kenya as we get to look at what is in the headlines.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Next on.
Yes, my youth, them a feel love them father.
Oh, you can nice up the party, nice up the party, nice up the party now.
Oh gosh, baby, baby, come back. You know you're all that I've got.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. You only need the light when it's burning low. Only hate the road when you're missing home.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you on board. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and definitely this is Good Morning Kenya. Now, before we took a short break, we're just highlighting what we have on our various issues. We've looked at the Daily Nation, we've looked at the Star. Now we look at the Standard. Now the front page reads, we all have matters of BBI. Raila answers Ruto on multiple choice referendum. Details are going to be coming up in not too long as we continue to focus on what, how the debate and BBI politics is going on in the country, or how it's going, or rather developing. We also have matters of health, where patients stranded as health workers on strike hit services. It's said that tens of thousands of nurses and clinicians across the country made good their threat to boycott work starting yesterday over poor working conditions, and they vowed to resume duty only after their demands are met. The big read on the Standard this morning, however, is not about matters of BBI or what is happening with the health service. We're talking about the senator's 21-hour date that ended in ICU. If you ask me why this received prominence, well, I might not be in a position to answer that, but it's an attempted murder probe. Now, last Thursday afternoon, Senator Boniface Kabaka drove to an upmarket Nairobi apartment where he was joined by a woman. 21 hours later, he was rushed to hospital unconscious. Police are now investigating an attempted murder as what transpired at D3D remains a mystery. Plot, or rather twist to the plot, is that the family lawyer that says Kabaka was not there and did not have a drink and was not in the company of this lady. So we'll be giving you details, as highlighted on the Standard this morning. Family lawyer says he collapsed while having drinks at a restaurant and denies that he was with a woman. Plot twist. Then why is the police detaining this lady? Esther Nthenya Muli. Further on, CJ's final pitch as clock ticks to Friday. Chief Justice David Maraga made his final appeal to President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint those 41 judges to the bench and asked the Parliament to allocate more funds to the judiciary as he began his week in the office. Now, also, we have an article there that just highlights Uhuru on his love for the military. That has been captured ably on the front page of the Standard. We'll be giving more details as we proceed with in the headlines.
All right, now on the front page of the People's Daily, control your destiny, Uhuru tells young people. Now this is actually happening yesterday on a forum dubbed Kenya ni Mimi, where the head of state was actually talking to the young persons, advising them on different issues, where the president was also telling the youth that they form a bulk of the population, yet their contribution is peripheral, where their future is planned. He wants their vote to not only be counted, but to also count. This is just key among them of what, this is just key of what he was telling the young people yesterday, but there's also many other things which I'll be telling you as we get unpack more of what is inside the paper. There's also that story of the doctor who succumbed. This is Dr. Mogusu, the 28-year-old. Actually, that story has been featured, very prominently in the People's Daily. The doctor's final word to medics before dying. Just to read a bite from his entire message, because the message was, quite lengthy, but just a bite from it. What he was telling the doctors before he succumbed is just, he mentioned, I just want to say, save your miserable selves from those institutions. You live to earn again. I'm too weak to type anymore. Save yourselves. That is what he says. Now, this also comes at a time where nurses as well as clinical officers are on strike. You remember that the doctors, through the KNPDU, called off the strike, extended it at least to further 14 days, where they say that they mentioned that if whatever they're complaining about is not met within the next 14 days, then again their strike will commence on the 21st. But at least as of now, the strike, the nurses as well as the clinical officers, began yesterday, and this has caused a lot of havoc, especially for patients. I'm telling you all about that in a few. And also, there's one interesting story. Well, a woman postponed wedding to treat ailing pet lizard. Yes, I'm telling you all about that in a few.
Okay. Speaking of weddings, there's one here on the Daily Nation who says coronavirus forced her to slash down her guests from her wedding. She had initially had a guest list of 1,500 people. My friend. Not to 1,500. Okay. Anyway, let's now get to those details that we had promised you in regards to these stories that are on the front pages of the Daily Nation. And I want to start with this particular story in regards to the pain of a strike, as has been titled here on the Daily Nation, in regards to what happened when it comes to this strike that medics are on. But we start off with the fallen soldier in the frontline battle, and as has been written here, and this is information that is already in the public domain, it is said that he had no insurance, medical insurance that is, and hadn't received his salary for 5 months. Now, according to statements that he had posted on his social media just literally hours and others days before he succumbed to complications related to COVID-19. He said to have written, "I contracted the virus, sasa niko self-isolation. I have never seen death this close to my life." And on a Monday at about, he continues to say that those were some of the last sentences that he actually posted on social media as he gathered strength to just piece together what he was thinking. And on Monday at about 15 minutes to 4 p.m., the news came in that he had passed on. Now, he was taken to Kenyatta University Teaching Referral and Research Hospital, and it is said to have been a little too late given the fact that he needed some plasma convalescent plasma therapy, which is a medical procedure that doctors have been using to treat diseases that are related to COVID-19 or other complications that result as a cause of COVID-19. And according to one of the doctors that was managing him, he said that we tried to resuscitate him, but it was too late. Now, he said to be one of the 200 medical doctors that were deployed to counties 5 months ago under the Universal Health Program to serve COVID-19 isolation facilities. And like his other colleagues, they were not paid for those 5 months that they were deployed to the different stations, and he was sent to Machakos. He is a father of one, and continues to say the fact that he did not have insurance despite working in a high-risk center. And this is one of the demands that are being fronted by medics who are now on strike, specifically nurses and clinical officers who are on strike, saying that they need better working conditions, and especially looking at this time that we are in the fight against COVID-19. And this is also in line with a patient who succumbed as a result of complications also related to other pre-existing conditions. This is one, Mr. Morris Njeru, aged 60, who complained of difficulty in breathing and was rushed to Embu County Referral Hospital by his son because they did say he has high blood pressure and diabetes. And when they got there, there was a go-slow. They told him they could not offer any services, and they had to look for a private hospital to take him. And in the process of getting treated, he succumbed to this disease, to these complications. And the doctors we do know that they called off their strike for 14 days, but nurses and clinical officers as well as other health workers did a boycott duty as of midnight on Monday, on Sunday that is. And yesterday, the Kenya Union clinical officer in charge of the Embu County branch said that the health workers were suffering and will not resume work until their demands have been met. So you can read more of that story and get to understand. The figures have actually been highlighted there, looking at the numbers when it comes to COVID-19 in Africa, the cases that have been reported, deaths, recoveries, and how we are ranked as a country. We are ranked number 6 when it comes to how COVID has affected us in Africa.
Now, still keeping up with those stories coming from the health sector, they've also been given prominence on the Standard this morning. And some of the demands is that they want the supply of quality PPEs in hospitals, medical cover, harmonization of health risk allowance, employment of more healthcare service providers. They also want a constitutional health commission, promotions and payment of arrears. Those are some of the demands made by the striking medics. So we enter day 2. Today, day 3 of this particular strike. As we say, this is a sick nation. We're still dealing with matters of COVID-19. Now, in a twist, or rather what has been termed as a bit insensitive, especially on social media, but we're not here to give opinions, is that opposition leader Raila Odinga is appealing to the striking health workers to reconsider their actions, saying it is not the right time to paralyze the health sector when the country is battling the coronavirus pandemic. This is a report that has been prepared by reporter Wycliffe, giving the details of that.
This was the situation at the Migori County Referral Hospital. Patients left stranded following the ongoing strike by nurses and clinical officers that began Monday morning countrywide. The health workers are accusing both levels of government of giving them a deaf ear on the issues touching on their welfare. According to the leadership of Kenya Union of Clinical Officers and that of Kenya National Union of Nurses, there is a shortage of personal protective equipment in various health facilities across the country, putting many frontline workers at risk.
For the longest time, and this is not new to our government, is that we have raised several issues which we call them pertinent healthcare issues in this country. And we have said, number one, that healthcare workers must be provided with adequate and high-quality personal protective equipment.
The healthcare workers are also seeking risk allowances and promotions, among other demands.
As healthcare workers, especially the nurses, who are close to the patients, their plight has been ignored for long. We have been tabling our demands and issues to both levels of government with no tangible response from both governments.
The two unions have vowed to boycott work until the government addresses their grievances, even as their counterparts, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, suspended their planned strike for at least 2 weeks to allow room for negotiation.
Solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong.
Meanwhile, ODM leader Raila Odinga has called on the nurses to reconsider the industrial action and instead focus on service delivery, especially during this pandemic period. Raila, while accompanied by the Council of Governors Chair Wycliffe Oparanya, said the pandemic had battered every sector and any resource mobilization will prove difficult at the moment.
This is not the time really to hold the government to ransom. And the doctors themselves take an oath to protect life. How then do you justify downing your tools when people are dying, lives which you can actually save? So I want our doctors to become more realistic and more understanding that although they are suffering, it's not only doctors who are suffering. You've got the teachers, you've got the engineers, you've got the lecturers.
Wycliffe Okech, Channel 1 News.
With that, how much has been set aside for the BBI campaign, and how much are the health workers demanding? That's a rhetorical question. Now, that particular time, just to highlight also is that KEMSA says Kagwe has the last word on the 5.9 billion PPEs. Now, according to the authority boss, is that he insists that despite the public announcement that the kits would be sold at market rate, the minister is yet to commit himself in writing. Some of the demands that are being made by medics is that they want a supply of quality PPEs in hospital. Currently, 40 health workers have succumbed to the virus. 13 are doctors, 18 nurses, and 9 clinical officers. A state, or rather we're saying a sick nation, in every sense of the word.
Now, still keeping up with the health sector and how the strike of the clinical officers as well as the nurses is affecting different public hospitals, there's one rather sad story, and this is in regards to a patient who died yesterday, and this is as nurses begin strike. This is actually in Embu County. The name of the patient was Morrison Jeru, and they actually mentions that he could be the first victim of the strike by medical workers, and this is after he succumbed to his illness yesterday. at Embu Level 5 Hospital. Jeru had been referred to the hospital from a private facility, but there were no medics to attend to him, given the fact that, yes, the strike was already ongoing as of yesterday. In Busia, the medical superintendent, Dr. Namudala, revealed that services in all sections, including maternity wing, wards, pharmacy, among others, were on a total standstill. And as if that is not enough, he also noted that casual workers also downed their tools. Now, this also means that aside from the medics, also those, working in the kitchen to provide food for the patients, those working in the laundry sections, also they have downed their tools. So this makes it very difficult, for different hospitals and even for patients who come to this public hospitals.
Sami Jaro.
Oh, yeah. I'm on page 9 of the Star today. And it talks about, I would have taken that story about Boniface, the senator, but...
No, please go ahead. I asked the question as to why did we give it such importance? If you look at this daily that I have, it's actually on the front page. Anyway, I'm not here to criticize. I'm just wondering if we didn't have other matters of national importance.
That's what I'm saying. Let's just move on. Because even the matter is...
But a woman is in police custody.
That's true, and she was arraigned at some point, right?
Yes.
So let's leave it to the courts and the two families to sort it out. It's just similar to that story about the SDA pastor and, CJ is yet to appoint a bench for BBI case. And David Ndii, four other activists say fundamental provisions of constitution cannot be changed by an amendment. These are concerns we've seen floated by Kenya leader Martha Karua, Makueni County Governor, that is Kivutha Kibwana, and now economist David Ndii. They are working together to see how they can stop the BBI process this far, arguing that the fundamental provisions of a constitution cannot be changed by an amendment. And on Monday, when the matter came up for mention, as the paper now reports, the parties were informed the bench has not been constituted, meaning another mention will be scheduled. So that story is on page 9 of the Star today.
Kindly allow me to just go back to revisit that story about the senator's brush with death. We've had so many cases about this kind of setup. If I can take you to some years back, a story caught the country by storm. Remember Senior Mutula Yeah, there was that case there. But now here we are talking about a woman who's been detained with contradictory statements, one from the family lawyer as well as the police. Now, in an article that has been highlighted on page 6 of the Standard, it shows that the statement by the police contradicted that from the Senator Kabaka's family, who on Saturday dismissed claims that he had collapsed in a woman's house in Nairobi, Kilimani area. Now, the statement released by the family also said the senator had collapsed while having a drink at the restaurant before calling for an ambulance to take him to Nairobi Hospital. The prosecution had complied with the law by disclosing to the suspect the intended charge of attempted murder. So Esther Mdhenyamuli was presented before Nairobi court yesterday, and the police investigators claimed that she was with Machakos Senator Boniface Kabaka when he fell ill at an apartment in Kilimani. We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening in as far as the corridors of justice are concerned, as a story has been compiled by Ben Troy to just give us where we stand in regard to this particular matter, as well as other matters that took center stage at the corridors of justice yesterday.
Esther Mdhenyamuli, a teacher at Mademba High School, will now spend the next 7 days behind bars. This is after the court granted prosecution more time to allow police unravel what led to the collapse and hospitalization of Machakos Senator Boniface Mutinda Kabaka on Friday last week. The senator was in the company of Mdhenya when he collapsed and was rushed at Nairobi Hospital, where he is admitted at the intensive care unit. Preliminary investigations revealed that the senator was in full health when he drove himself to 3D apartments at around 2 p.m. on Thursday, 3rd December, and booked an apartment where he later collapsed in the presence of Mdhenya. Elsewhere, the Director of Public Prosecution, Nudin Haji, is still not ready to commence the 3 tax cases against businessman Humphrey Kariuki and 5 others 1 year and 4 months after it was filed. The DPP sought to consolidate the cases against the accused persons, but Kariuki's lawyers have termed the move as an abuse of the court process. The tycoon is out on an 11 million shillings bail after denying several charges including forgery, money laundering and tax evasion. Last month, the DPP withdrew charges against businessman Stuart Gerald Hard, a former director at Wow Beverages.
Okay, that's a recap of what was happening on the corridors of justice yesterday. We'll be keeping tabs on that particular story. Now, given that Eston Venya is going to stay in police custody at the Kilimani police station until December 14th, when the matter will be mentioned.
All right, let's now move on to the Daily Nation and go to the back page. And this is in regards to the story about the move to stop funding to private universities. And this came as a proposal from the Education Committee of the National Assembly in conjunction with Vice Chancellors, who now say that they put this proposal forth that the government should stop this program when it comes to sponsoring students to go to private universities. And they said if this proposal is to sail through, the most of the 34 private universities will either have to close down or massively scale down their operations, since a significant portion of their budget is supported through this government-sponsored student program. So again, this proposal was raised by the Education Committee of the National Assembly, which also attracted the support of MPs and ministry officials, and they further on went to question why would we have students sent to private universities when the public universities have enough capacity. However, on the other side of that divide, the private universities have questioned the motive of this proposal, accusing public universities of a sinister scheme to undermine them, and in particular the students' freedom of choice when it comes to picking where they would like to pursue their higher education. The vice chancellors in public universities are not sincere when asking the government to stop the admission of students in private university institutions. Those were the words of one Professor Mumo, who is also the Scott Christian University Chancellor here in Nairobi. So that is the current state of things when it comes to the battle between public and private universities, with now the public universities putting forth this proposal to defund most of these private universities that have been receiving government-sponsored students.
All right, now coming to that story that was on the front page, where the head of state was speaking to young people yesterday in a forum or a campaign dubbed Kenya ni Mimi. This was at the Bomas of Kenya, just advising them on different issues, where the head of state was actually telling also the young people to grab leadership slots. The president, speaking to young people yesterday on matters to take leadership, telling them that this should not be, or they should not allow rather the minority shareholders to dictate their future. He further on continued to tell them that leadership is grabbed, not given. And if youths are waiting to be given, it shall never be forthcoming. The president, talking about all of this at the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi yesterday during the launch of Kenya ni Mimi campaign. This is actually an initiative launched by the Ministry of Information, which is a series of dialogues on needs and opportunities of the young people. The biggest shareholder of these projects are obviously the youth, who have not fully played their part, not only in taking ownership, but in managing and directing Kenya towards its rightful decision. This is also part of what came from the president yesterday. I mean, part of the statements that he was making yesterday. He also said that youths have been taken as voting machines, and it should not be that way. However, also, a section of young people urged the president to consider appointing cabinet secretaries who are below 35 years old. These are just the young people. And, obviously there's so many other things the president talked about yesterday, so you can get a copy of this particular paper to get to understand what other things the president was advising the young people to do, given the fact that they are termed as the future leaders of tomorrow.
I saw quite a catchy headline of a daily that
we don't have here with us, but you can get it on social media. That is Taifa Leo. It goes in Swahili, Uhuru aenjoy. Vijana. Uhuru aenjoy vijana.
I like how you faded that.
I just remembered, booyah. Let's take a break on that note. Ya kuenjoy. Let's take a break when in a
To enjoy
to be
the break.
focused.
Yani umeichukua 2 minutes earlier.
To enjoy,
Aina
to enjoy,
shida
to
sasa
enjoy.
inabidi tu
Imagine manze umechukua 2
tunaenjoyana
minutes
hapa.
earlier. Hizo 2 minutes.
Akiendelea kuongea time ita
Hizo 2 minutes tungeambia watu that BAT has picked a new CEO. That is Crispin Achola, because the exiting one, that is Beverly Spencer, left the company. Of course, probing questions what is happening with BAT, and I'm very sure these are some of the issues that will be informing business headlines across the country today. It was trending, not trending really, but it surfaced on social media yesterday. There you have it, change of guard at the British American Tobacco, and Crispin Achola has taken over as the new MD.
Now we take a break?
Yeah, now we can go for that break.
All right.
And then we'll be back with much more up, including Harmonize. What is happening? Wow, pole sana, bro.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Yote ndawai do iko tu sawa kwa macho yako.
Unataka kuwako?
Ati nini? Why are you people shouting?
Are you okay?
Mwanamke wewe ninakuona sana. Ni wanaume hapa Mombasa wameisha.
Ni nini mbaya? Nowadays we have so many unfaithful people.
What?
Need to talk about her every time we are together.
I'd be very careful the way you address me.
Zako zinakuangaje? Huwezi kaa dakika mbili hata bila kuteta.
You will all sign new contracts.
And I am supposed to be briefed.
What? Taki ujinga.
Oof.
A love from the past will mark the love from today.
I love you, Mauro. I love you like I have never loved before.
Now the same obsession that ruined the past will try to destroy the present. Only this time, love will have more than one obstacle ahead.
I need a doctor to tend to her right away. Please, miss. A doctor. Call a doctor.
Loving you is all I want.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
You give this back to me.
If you have courage, then meet me downstairs. Let me see how brave you really are.
I had never thought as such that you'll turn out to be a thief.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
What?
None of that will hold you back now.
I still see him, Patrick. I still want to get his approval.
Look, he gave you his approval when he left you this gym. Now, the only person whose approval you need to get is your own.
Usijidanganye wewe. Nukta mbili tu unaweza jikuta huko Tororo. You should feel lucky that I'm involving you in this.
Kwani unamjua?
Alikufa juzi kwa vita ya baa. Unamjuaje?
Alikuwa vita ya baa.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. It is exactly 6 minutes past 8 a.m. and we are drawing closer and closer to the end of this first segment in the headlines. But before we do that, let's now continue with some few more stories, and we now move on to Kilifi, where the governor has now warned residents against eating the locusts that have invaded that particular county, and they actually deployed a surveillance team to go about just establishing the extent of invasion, and they did say all the 7 sub-counties, they had been invaded by this locust. But he also noted that locals had gone on an eating spree of this desert locust and warned them against, or rather cautioned them against eating this locust, as they could be contaminated with traces of chemicals from previous spraying. The residents have turned these pests into food, terming them as quite a delicacy. Yeah. He also warned them against chasing this locusts that have perched on vegetation in the neighborhood, as this could further risk further invasion of this particular pest. And they say that the county has the situation under control. And according to a statement that he made, he had dispatched this team of agricultural officers to just determine the extent of damage. They further on went to say, according to this team, that they have invaded most of the county and are spreading fast. And the good thing is, as much as they estimated 900 acres and 50 acres of land in Maragafa and Garashi have been affected respectively, so far they are not as aggressive when it comes to feeding at the moment, because they are focused on breeding. So they have a time frame of about 10 days to break ground by starting with the aerial spraying, and within the next 10 days they would be able to get these pests before they actually finish with this breeding period that they are in. And of course, this is also in consultation with the Food and Agriculture Organization and the Ministry of Agriculture, as they team up to just make sure that they contain the situation before it gets worse. And by getting worse, this means when they are done breeding and they multiply, and now they become, they go into a gregarious state. So you can read more about that, what is happening in Kilifi on the Daily Nation.
Me or you, Regina?
Mukikula chakula yetu tunakula yenyu. Tunawakula.
Really?
Tuwale.
It's okay, it's all right. It's all right.
No, see, you eat the locusts as they eat your stuff.
We don't refute that, but whatever it is that you were attempting to do, we got you, Ray. We know. That's what friends are for.
That's what.
Sleep loads. Sleep.
I didn't say anything.
The North remembers.
I did
the
not.
North remembers.
The North remembers.
Oh, it does.
It does.
Then guess what?
What?
Winter came for House Ray. And the Lannisters do send their regards. That's for Jane. Harmonize was broke when we dated.
That is his winter.
That
Long
is the
night.
ex. Akina kuambia kuna udaku kwa hii paper.
Mob.
I just thought of lacing up your Tuesday with some
Udaku.
tea, as they call it. And, you know, they've had an issue with the Italian wife.
Yes.
And
Sarah.
they've separated or divorced or something. Okay, it is what it is. So, Dame, by the way, anaitwa, is it Sarah? The Italian one.
Yes, Sarah.
Sarah. Alisema manze mpaka mse ana shootingi blank SMSs. It was on Instagram. We all saw it. Like, he can't sire a child, ache kujidai akona mtoto uko nje. And Sarah claimed to have receipts. Now, this morning, the ex, that is Wolper, is saying that he has a habit of targeting rich women to give him expediency, either financially, or fund his music, or fund his tours. And that is the story captured here on page 19. She actually says that Harmonize was, okay, I won't use the word because the show is rated GE, but Harmonize was broke, kabisa.
He was despondent.
Broke kabisa when they met, all right? And goes ahead and talks about her times with Harmonize and how she realized that the artist has a tendency of targeting rich women so that to give him some form of...
Well, I'm not going to dwell on matters entertainment. I'm going to go to matters business, where now it indicates that the shilling has continued to weaken against amid the rise in forex. Now, data from the Central Bank of Kenya indicates that usable forex was 888.9 billion as of December 3rd, and this was slightly increased from 880.6 billion 2 weeks earlier. However, this was not enough to shield the shilling from COVID-19 blows. In a story that we highlighted in as far as the inflation rate is concerned in November, it clearly showed that, you know, the cost of living is still way high, and as we move towards the festive season, things are bound to get, you know, more tough. More so in January 2021, when they laid down tax incentives and, you know, just to cushion Kenyans against the COVID-19 disruptions come to an end. Yeah. Now, focusing on development away from matters of the shilling and how inflation is reacting, is that yesterday, Transport Cabinet Secretary, that is James Macharia, commissioned a new railway link from Nairobi City Centre to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Those people who are ever chasing, you know, the flights on Mombasa Road, then this comes as a reprieve, because, as they say, you can always chase a bus to Mombasa, but chasing a flight or a plane is nearly impossible. Now, with this set of infrastructure, it's bound to just ensure, you know, ease in commuter services, especially to and from the main airport, that is the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Betty Kiptum has details in regard to this particular story. Okay, fine. You know, remember, you can get further details in regard to this particular story on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. Just last week also, we had 1,370 Kenyans, you know, getting to own a home under the government's flagship project under the affordable housing at the Parkside project there. So the government is still focusing on ensuring that, you know, the Uhuru leaves his legacy pegged on the big four agenda. There are matters of infrastructure at a time when Kenya Airways, the national carrier, has also launched a farmer facility. This is also, it will help in the logistics of COVID-19 vaccine and the long-term boost of the fight against diseases in Africa. As I said, details, you can find further details in regard to this business stories and so much more on our website at www.kbc.co.ke.
Now, before we get to close this particular segment, just to tie in with the business angle that you have brought in, there's a piece here saying that Kenya is likely to breach the 9 trillion debt ceiling by 2022. And this is according to budget experts who have warned that the government is very likely to breach the 9 trillion debt ceiling by early 2022 if the rate at which it is borrowing to support its budget and finance ambitions, capital projects, is anything to go by. And this is also in light with the fact that COVID-19 did exacerbate the country's financial instability. And this could mean that the government will not realize its revenue targets to finance the 841 billion deficit in this financial year's 3 trillion budget. So you can read more of that on the business, the Smart Business Finance segment here on the Daily Nation to understand. They've actually given a breakdown of the expected situation if what we are seeing is anything to go by to predict how the next 3 years will be when it comes to the finances of our country. So we can get to see a glimpse of that and understand where we are headed in terms of money. And I believe with that, we've come to the, we want to bring this segment to a close in the headlines. Thank you so much for staying with us. We hope now you have a better outlook on which paper resonates best with you. You can go ahead and grab a copy to see all the other stories that have been given prominence on the different dailies. We take a break, but we'll be right back with more of Good Morning Kenya. Do stay with us.
And at like 13 minutes past 8, we want to take a look at what is happening on our roads in terms of traffic. Remember that today there was also rain here and there, so ultimately that could also be, you know, one of the things that would lead to heavy kind of traffic. So I want us to look at the two roads that I mentioned earlier, which is Ojiji Road as well as Kipande Road. And if you can remember, especially along that specific route, Ojiji, as you leave Parklands, there was barely any kind of heavy traffic. In fact, it was just a smooth sailing as you come all the way to the city center. So we want to look at it, actually, to try to see if things have changed there before we go to the other road which I mentioned, which is Kipande Road. And now look at this. Just from where the road ends on that particular roundabout, things are really getting slightly thick there. It is so different from how it was earlier on. This is actually in regards to the traffic flow, because earlier it was just green all through, no traffic at all, meaning that smooth sailing just as you leave the areas around Parklands. And also, this is why I was saying earlier, if at all you're coming from the areas around Westlands or even Wayaki Way, intending to use Parklands Road through Ojiji Road as you head over to the city center, then that time was just simply the best time for you to do that, because right now the kind of traffic really building up on this particular road, just before we get to Ojiji Road, this is along Parklands Road rather, and again this is specific to that lane that is leaving the areas around Westlands, leaving the areas around Wayaki Way. As you use the Parklands Road, before you get to that particular roundabout there, on that specific lane, that is just where traffic is beginning to slightly build up, and that has been well shown by that orange color there, which just, you know, when I say traffic is beginning to slightly build up, this is what that orange color means. And actually this goes all the way, so sticky with Parklands Road, all the way till that roundabout as you just enjoying to Ojiji Road and also heading over to the other side of Parklands Road. Now, on this fast section along Parklands Road, just on some, again, before we get to the roundabout, in fact, traffic moving at a really slow pace. But at least I can a bit of a reprieve for those that are leaving the areas around city center, leaving Kipande Road, leaving Ojiji Road, using Parklands Road, heading all the way to Wayaki Way on that other side, or even Westlands. A bit of a reprieve for our viewers who are heading on that specific area, because on the other side, then there's no traffic at all. Green all through, meaning it's just a smooth sailing. Also around this mini roundabout, if I can call it that way, look at how it is looking like. Things have not changed at all. Earlier on it was just green the way it is, and this is still how it is. I would like to call this not one of those major roundabouts, because it just comes from Parklands Road and again heads over to Parklands Road, branching off to Ojiji Road. So it's not one of those major roundabouts, and probably this could be the reason as to why there's not really that kind of heavy traffic on this section of the entire roundabout. And also flow. The other thing is that there hasn't really been any ongoing road work, so also that could be the reason as to why you're not seeing the heavy kind of traffic, especially on these sections or this parts of the roads that we'll be looking at today as well as the rest of the week. So also again, through the entire roundabout, things are not changing at all. Green all through, smooth sailing again all through. And also as you leave the roundabout, branching off to the other side of Parklands Road, also on that specific section, green all through, no traffic at all. So also for our viewers coming from those areas, just after you leave that particular roundabout, looks like a smooth sailing for you. And also this goes all the way till around, actually also as you leave the Hospital Hill Primary School, still sticking with Parklands Road, going to the other side again on that section, no traffic at all, moving at a really, really fast pace. Now, before we go to Kipani Road, how about we look at that specific road, which is Ojiji Road, also trying to see how it is doing in terms of traffic. And yes, in as much as there's traffic on both lanes, at least also it's a manageable kind of traffic, and that's why we're seeing that orange color there. But I've mentioned to you part of the reason as to why we don't really see or spot the heavy kind of traffic on these roads that we are looking at, these slip roads, is simply because also there hasn't been any road works. Now, anytime you see the ongoing road works, either it's recarpeting, restructuring of these roads, bridges here and there, ultimately this also leads to the kind of heavy traffic, because sometimes either some roads have to be closed, then you tend to use alternative routes. So on this particular roads, there hasn't been any of that. So again, also this could be the reason as to why you're not seeing that kind of heavy traffic. But now, coming back to traffic flow on this specific route, traffic in fact is just on some sections of along this specific route, and it branches off as you branch off to Chiromo Lane. Again, still sticking with Ojiji Road on that section, and also is just where traffic is really beginning to slightly build up as well. On the other lane, however, as you leave Kipande Road, still coming through Ojiji Road, branching off to the other side of Parklands Road, as well as also the other side as you head over to Westlands. On that particular section, it is green all through, which again means that there's no traffic, moving at a really fast pace. And I've told you there's a why we're not really spotting the heavy kind of traffic, especially on this particular road. Now, I want us to look at the other road, which I had mentioned to you earlier, just again for viewers to understand why we are doing this, at least looking at some slip roads. It's simply because, it's just come to that realization that also slip roads are one of those really, really important roads. And again, just to reiterate, it's simply because slip roads are roads that either get you on or off a major road or a highway. Look at this particular one, just getting you as you leave, that Ojiji Road, coming again to the other side of Kipani Road, through the other side of Westlands. On this particular one, also no traffic at all, moving at a really, really fast pace. So this particular one comes all the way from Parklands Road. This particular one, as you leave Parklands, again, all the way from Westlands. This actually, as you leave Wayaki Way through Westlands, coming all the way to the city center. On this particular one, which is Kipande Road, again, just green all through, no traffic at all. And again, this is actually one of the things that I've noted on the slip roads that we have at least looked at since yesterday, is that there's barely any kind of traffic. And even in places where there's traffic, it is just a manageable kind of traffic. On this particular one, oftentimes, anytime we look at, especially the major roads and highways at this hour, would be seeing mostly the red and the maroon, which only means that the traffic is beginning to really, traffic is actually heavy kind of traffic. And even in some parts, moving at a really, really slow pace. But look at this particular one. Green all through, no traffic at all, moving at a really, really fast pace. And as I mentioned, this again also comes all the way from Westlands. It's one of those slip roads as well. This is Kipani Road as it heads you over to the city center. So again, if you're leaving those areas that I just mentioned, coming to the CBD, intending to use this particular route, smooth sailing for you. Also, if you're leaving the areas of city center, this is actually the areas around Moi Avenue, University Way, also leaving the areas around Globe Cinema roundabouts, leaving the areas of Thika Superhighway through Muranga Road, intending to use Kipani Road as well. Also, it is a smooth sailing for you as there's no traffic on those two, on that particular road. That is also what we'll be doing, at least the better part of this. We're just trying to look at some slip roads and how the traffic flow is looking like on most of these major slip roads, especially here in the city. But at least as of now, this is how it is looking like on those two particular roads, which is our focus this Tuesday. and welcome back to the program. It is time for our first conversation this Tuesday. Our segment, Women at the Forefront, will be focusing on the growth and future of tourism business here in Kenya. My guest this morning is Paris Wangari, who is the CEO of Wonder Trace Adventures. Just from the name, we can tell that it's a tours and travel company. Yeah. Maybe you can now tell us how it began and the kind of activities you do at the company.
Okay, Doreen. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah.
Wonder Trace Adventure is a travel agency firm. It began back in 2019.
You want to know if you were in the
name came about
2019 when?
In June.
In June.
Yes.
So it's a year and some months old.
Yes.
Okay.
So the reason why I chose Wonder Trace Adventure is because I used to call myself Wonder with Kare. My name from Wangari. So I have Kare. So it means...
All right. Paris, we'll be coming to you in a bit just as I try to check your mic. But what you're doing today in this conversation on our segment, Women at the Forefront, is you want to better understand about the tours and travel business through the eyes or through the, through actually Paris Wangari, who is the CEO of Wonder Trace Adventures. She'll be talking to us about this particular business, how she began it, just as she mentioned that it's like 1 year and some months old right now. And we definitely know of how much COVID-19 has affected the tours, the tourism sector. Here in the country, many sectors were hit by this pandemic, but the tourism sector became one of the hardest hit, if I can mention sector. So this is one of the things she'll be talking to us about, how she has managed as a person to still be afloat on business and still also to keep her employees. We've again had so many stories of where employers or company owners have had to lay off some staff, some have to part off with half salary. So for her as an employer, as a CEO, as a business owner, how has she managed just to keep a business running and ongoing during this pandemic, and also how she's managed to keep the employees there in the company, as well as also understand the growth and future of tourism business here in the country. Now, this is also in regards to matters domestic tourism, because again, oftentimes when you talk about tourism, there's that mindset of it's just people coming from different parts of the world, maybe the states or different areas, but we really don't put so much focus on local or domestic tourism. So what could be the issue? What could be the challenges that probably is facing the tourism sector that we don't really talk so much about domestic tourism? So that is one of the things that she will also be talking to us about. Now, Paris, you had mentioned that you began the business in June.
Yes.
And you're also telling us why you chose to give it that particular name, as well as telling us the kind of activities that you do at the company.
Yes. So Wonder Trace Adventures came from, I used to call myself Wonder with Kare because I was passionate about travel even before I decided to open the company. So Wonder means moving about. It's wonder. Trace means leaving marks. So Wonder Trace Adventures. That's how I came about with the name.
Okay. You see, I always like to ask that question, especially for business owners, because I've just come to the realization that when you're beginning a business, in whatever capacity, the name is always very important. Yes. So the first step is always, what is your business name? What is the name you're choosing and why you're choosing that particular name? So at least for you now, we better understand. Yeah. You also mentioned that it's because you had passion, you loved tours and travel. Does this mean that this is one of the things that you wanted to do even from way back?
I'm not sure whether that's what I wanted way back, but as I grew up, as I continued living, I decided I found myself, I loved traveling. So I did a course in travel and tourism, yes. And so far it has been a nice journey because that's what I love. It's about passion. Yeah.
It's about passion, and also it's what you love. Yeah. Now, in as much as it hasn't been there that long, but at least from your perspective, as someone who owns a tours and travel company, what would you say is one of those interesting things for you as a person being in the travel business?
The most interesting thing is that I have to travel. The travel part is interesting.
So even as a business owner, you still enjoy the parts that come with it?
Exactly. Okay. The second thing is that the satisfaction that once I realize that my clients are satisfied, that's something that I enjoy a lot, and it it drives me to do this again and again. Yeah.
When you say that when your clients are satisfied, what exactly do you mean? As in, what do you do to at least get your clients or your customers satisfied?
By giving them what you promised them. Delivering services that, according to what you offered as a package, you make sure you deliver that to the maximum. Yeah.
So, for instance, if you told them that this way you're going to take them, this is what you're going to give them, you ensure that you actually do that.
Yes.
And do you actually get to have everything in place that you deliver to the customers or client, everything that you said you're going to give?
Sometimes it's hectic because you're not with them.
Yeah.
For instance, maybe I've booked for them a hotel. I'm not in the hotel. Something might go amiss somehow.
Might go left.
Yeah. But you try to solve it as a person because you're profession in this, so you try to solve things and talk to them. That's where customer service skills come in. Yeah.
Now, I'd like to understand how you get to do that, because just as you're mentioning, haukuangi hapo na wao. And you see, they always say that customer clients are always right.
Yeah.
So you've promised them you're going to give them this. Then just as you're saying, something might go left and you're not there physically to sort of like sort or, salvage the situation. So how do you go about it?
I'm a travel agent.
Yeah.
So I have people that I work with, even in the hotel. So I'll be able to talk maybe to the management and solve issues. Because I'm the one who took my clients over to that place or maybe somewhere else, I'll be able to talk to them. Yeah.
Okay. And you see, that was very important for me to ask, at least also for people that are watching and probably they want to get in this particular business, at least to better understand how to go about such kind of challenges. But you also do many other things. You also into different other businesses. We'll be coming to that in a bit. For now, though, we want to take a very, very short breather. We'll be coming back with Paris to better understand more about tours and travel here in the country. We take that breather. Stay with us.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit.
Quickbit?
Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder.
399 shillings.
Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua micro. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari.
So tupeleke huko hata
mtu aendi huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Kalenda ya master majima bazenga. She's so expensive, okay.
Niweke kwa inamba buda boss tuma kitu na tumepia na ya kutoa.
Time already, it's time already. Line already, it's time already.
Make I tell you what you love for a bullet. Anytime it is your body, body, yeah,
back it up right away.
Gang. Rada chafu nikishikaga, hizo chafu bana shikashash. Pale bedroom kila siku bash, hini lynch ndakikomba.
Next on.
He owes me 350,000 to be exact.
What?
I have his signed promissory note. I am not leaving until he pays me.
Why does he owe you that much money, sir?
Lost in playing poker. This isn't the first time he owes me money. If he doesn't pay up, I have no choice but to sue him.
I just called to let him know that his son has passed away.
Osvaldo is dead?
What? He was just fine yesterday.
No, I wasn't talking about Osvaldo. It's Betito.
Betito? I think there must be some mistake. Mr. Julio doesn't have a son called Betito.
Wait a minute, Juana.
In love with Ramon.
Next on.
Yes, my youth, them a feel love them father.
We are gonna nice up the party, nice up the party, nice up the party now.
Oh gosh, baby, come back. You know you're all that I've got.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. You only need the light when it's burning low. Only hate the road when you're missing home.
And welcome back. We're still speaking with Paris Wangari, the CEO of Wonder Trace Adventures, talking to us about her particular business, as well as just trying to better understand the growth and future of tourism business here in Kenya. Now, Paris, off air, we're talking about your business being situated in Nakuru, which is so different because most of tours and travel companies are here in Nairobi.
Yeah.
So why did you choose for yours to be outside the city, outside the capital city, rather?
It's the congestion. You know, like, I'm from Nairobi.
Yeah.
I've lived in Nairobi, but when I wanted to open the company, I chose Nakuru. I had to check out how many travel agents we have in Nakuru. Plus, Nakuru is easy. The living standard is easy. The competition is low, unlike Nairobi. That's why I chose to go to Nakuru.
So does that bring the whole idea of how important it is to do market research?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that you lived in Nairobi, you are in Nairobi, but when you choose to begin the business, you chose to take it to Nakuru.
Yeah.
So even as we talk about market research, let's talk about some of the other nitty-gritties that need to be in play or in place when you're starting a business. Of course, there's that market research, just as we talk about, you have to have a name. There's many other different facets, especially as you choose to start a business. So for you, what are some of the things that you laid down before you began?
One, what did I want to do? Like, what did I love? Like, what did I want to do? It's travel, right? So it's about first passion. You have to be passionate on what you want to do first. Second, market research. How is the competition? The third thing is maybe funds. How are you going to start it? Yeah.
Let me stick with that a bit before we move further, the whole issue of funds, because it always becomes a big problem for anyone planning to start business in whatever capacity. So for you, how did you navigate that?
As I started Wonder Trace, it is so funny because I did not have any funds.
It's so interesting. You almost sound like those motivational speakers that say, you know, I began my cereal shop with one rice and one. You're saying you didn't have any funds, but you began.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
This is because we have technology now. Because I was passionate about travel, that's how I started marketing my events online. Then I get like a group of 10, 5. We travel because I specialize mostly with group travels.
Group travels?
Yeah, group travels. that's how I started slowly to build up to a capacity. Now I can travel with even a group of 100. Yeah.
Now, I still want to stick a bit, just a bit, with that capital bit, because you're saying that you didn't have any funds when you were beginning. And this is very important also just for viewers to better understand. Because you see, anytime we talk about, I didn't have any funds, there's always this, thinking that nilianza tu, yani nilijichukua tu venye niko hivi, na nikaanza. So for you, when you're saying you capitalized more on digital, which is where you marketed, what you're doing as a person, and here you are saying that you will take a group of like 5 people, 6 people. So who are this? People, that random people that will see what you're doing online, or would it be friends? At least to understand what it is, because that's I understand also when you're beginning, you have to have like some cash to create posters and all of that. So when you say that you didn't have nothing at all, was it like 0?
I had to create some posters, but I had friends who helped me out at free.
Okay, now that makes sense. You see?
Yeah, then I had to use my social media platforms to market. And I happened to get random people. And let me help you understand how the package goes.
Yes.
Once you start creating a package, you need to know the costing of the transport, the logistics.
And this is for anyone who wants to start this business to at least understand what it entails.
You need to understand the logistics, the place that you're taking these people, how much it costs.
Okay.
Are these people going to eat? What else are you going to add on this package to make it look more fun? Like, so many people love photography. So if you hear we're going to maybe Kirita Forest, we do zip lining, we'll have lunch, then we'll have a photographer. You want that moment captured, and this will entice so many people. So I also add like my markup, like what am I making out of this group? Or maybe...
This is like, now what, in terms of profit?
Yeah, in terms of profits. Okay. Or sometimes the hotels or the premises where we take clients, we usually work hand in hand with them, so they give us commissions. So that's how you start creating profit. Yeah.
No, at least I think whoever's watching has understood. Now when you're saying that I didn't start with anything, now it makes sense. Because sometimes you see resources may not be like the financial, even human resource. Those that are willing to come on board, probably people that are close to you, your friends, at least to help you here and there for free.
Yeah.
That is also what it means when you say, I didn't start with like cash in hand.
Like cash in hand,
but I began anyway. You talked about profits, and I want to understand from someone who's been here for 1 year and 6 months, is the travel business profitable? And if it is, in what way?
Yeah, it is profitable, because why would I be in this business if I'm not making anything?
Sometimes there's that thinking of, I love it, but I'm just trying it. Okay, I love, but I'm trying. If it works, cool. If it doesn't, I was trying anyway. So I want to understand if it's profitable and to what extent it is.
Yeah, sure, it is profitable, but most people, they tend to like to make bigger profits. But as in my concepts, I just love making kidogo nikiendelea. So it is profitable, yes. But with time, you see, I started like with a group of 10.
Yes.
Right now, I can take a group of 100. If I was making like a 1K in a group of 10, then I get a group of 100, you see? So it is...
So pole,
yeah, no rush.
No rush. Kidogo, no rush. Now let's talk about the tourism sector here in country in general, because my thinking is that in as much as it's just been 1 year and 6 months for you, you have a better understanding, because if you are getting into a particular business, you know what you're getting yourself into. So the tourism sector here in this country, how would you rate its growth? Do you think we are like probably heading in the right direction in terms of growing this particular sector, or we have some missing links?
When I began, it wasn't, I felt as if we're not growing.
You felt as if we are not growing as an entire tourism sector?
Yeah.
Okay.
But as time goes by, things have improved.
Why did you feel that way?
Because, you see, the way I started the business, it means like I started as a briefcase. We didn't have measures, we didn't have policies that guide the tour operators. But as I evolved, I realized, oh, kumbe we have these bodies where we can put things in place. If in case something happens to a client, where am I supposed to go? So yeah, there's so far there's life in tourism.
So at least this was some of the things that you felt, were missing to make this sector grow.
Yeah.
So right now, a couple of months, if I can mention a year plus, what are some of the things that have changed that now you are saying that you feel at least now it is growing? Because tourism is a very important sector here in Kenya.
We have, as I said, we have bodies that govern the tourism sector. That is one. So many people are willing to learn and they're willing to travel locally. So that is putting the travel industry at least on a higher note.
And we'll be coming to that in a bit, the domestic and local tourism. But let's touch a bit on the fact that Kenya is actually the third largest country in sub-Saharan Africa. This is in the tourism economy, and this is after South Africa and Nigeria. Do you feel like it can get to a point where we can come up the rank?
Yes.
Probably be one or two.
Yeah, there is hope. Because
what do we need to do?
We need to have the self-love. We decide to travel, embrace travel as local people, and that's how we can.
So for us to probably climb up those ranks is more of us as people living in this particular country to embrace tourism more.
Yeah, before we get to international, let's travel locally.
Let's travel locally.
Yeah, get to know your country before you get to know other people's country. And that's how we'll build up the tourism
sector and also tourism economy here in the country.
Yes.
All right. Now, coming to this domestic and local tourism, because it's really featuring more into the fact that it's sort of like a problem because you're not really embracing it as much. Why do you think that is the case?
I might say maybe ignorance.
We are ignorant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, for instance, if you're supposed to go to Nakuru, the package is about Nakuru County. Then you say, hapa Nakuru, why should I spend like my 5 Gs to travel to Nakuru? So we need to kill that.
Okay.
Yeah, that mentality. Secondly, most people in Kenya, they don't put aside travel money like other people. So, like other countries, that's what I mean. So it means as we make money, as we continue working on our daily jobs, you need to relax, you need to travel, you need to go and wind. So at least save, put aside some savings just for travel. It is fulfilling.
Okay. I really love that first part where you talked about ignorance, and you've given a very good example. Like, for instance, someone is living in Nairobi, and you give a package to go to Nakuru, and they would say, sasa hapa Nakuru nilipe 5,000 ati kwenda kuona nini hizo. So what do you think can be done? Because, anytime we have conversations about the tourism sector in this country, the whole aspect of domestic tourism always features in the part of we don't embrace it as much. And you've just raised very pertinent issues as to why we don't. So for this factor of, ignorance, because I've also been a victim at some point, because you think, okay, why?
I can do something with this money.
Exactly. So what can we do, at least to move from that mentality? Because see, it starts with changing your mentality first before you go to about, embracing, this kind of tourism.
Try traveling.
That's all you can say.
Yeah, try traveling. Like, if you think it is a waste of money or something, join one of my group packages, travel, then find out.
I like that. You speak like a business owner. Join one of my group packages, then we can talk about that later. But also, even, as you try to explain to us how we can move away from that mentality, there's always this complaint, especially from, just the locals, saying that it is very expensive. That's why I don't travel.
It is not expensive. Travel is not expensive. let me give you an example with me.
Yeah.
I've told you I do a lot of group travels. What I mean by group travels, it's that the rates that I give are already subsidized. Like, how can you travel to Mombasa with 12,200 for 3 days and 2 nights on full board?
Kila kitu iko catered for.
Yeah. Try traveling solo with that amount of money. That's why I'm telling you, travel is not expensive. It's just the mentality. Plus, this cash is doable. The only thing you need to do is just have a plan. Kari is taking people to Mombasa in October. So by October, I need to save this amount of money for this travel. And that's all. It's achievable. It is not. And we also do like something like lipa pole pole. We allow you to deposit 500, 200, and you'll enjoy travel.
So what you're saying and what I'm getting from me is that it's not really expensive as how we'd want to think and want to make it look like. It's all a question of mentality.
Yes.
Again, you talked also about save to travel, which is one of the things that we don't do as Africans, or just narrowing it down to as Kenyans compared to people in the West probably. So then, just as someone who's there, what kind of advice can you give? What is the best, kind of or method of saving if you really, really want to travel and you think it's expensive?
Yeah. What I want to advise is that if you're really passionate about traveling, if you really want to travel, most travel agents in Kenya, they allow you to pay slowly, lipa pole pole. So you just need to identify the travel agency that you want to travel with, like Wonder Trace Adventures. Then you just, out of what you get, just put aside like maybe a G or 500 in a month, deposit. You just need to identify when you want to travel and the costing of it. Sometimes, let me talk in a Kenyan perspective.
Yes.
Tunapatanga kitu. Maybe you didn't plan, then, hey, napatana nawe dori unanipe thao. What am I supposed to do with that G? Deposit to Wonder Trace, then travel.
And travel. So instead of eating it all, if you really, really want to travel, you save it, and that's how we promote our own domestic and local tourism. Because we can sit here and talk about it's very important to embrace it, but we don't know the kind of strategies to employ to start embracing domestic tourism. So it's very important at least to explain to us, if you have to save, how do you go about it? If you have to change mentality, how do you go about it? Now, still coming back to the growth of our own local tourism or domestic tourism, what do you feel makes it for us as Kenya, as a country, that would make international tourists want to come and just explore the country, explore Kenya, explore different parts of the country? What makes it for us?
Kenya is rich. And when I say it is rich in this perspective that in tourism is broad. So we have agri-tourism. So the people from abroad can come because of what we grow in the country.
That's not the agri-tourism?
Yeah, agri-tourism. Okay. We also have something like ecotourism. This is about the culture and the biodiversity of other people. That's how Kenya is rich. And also we have adventures, we have the parks, we have the beaches. We have so many things in our country that can entice the foreigners to visit our country. Yeah.
So clearly there's a lot to look out for.
Yeah.
Just as you're mentioning the agri-tourism, the eco-tourism, and just the adventures in general, some of the things that can make people want to come to the country to see, and also one of the things that domestic, just us as Kenyans need to probably be looking out, even as you want to go to different places.
Yeah, sure.
So I also want to assume that you've traveled in different parts. Which area did you go and you were like, wow, this is a good place in this country, people should come and visit this place, or this is a nice just area to be?
Sure, I've traveled, but I want to tell you that in Kenya, every place is unique. Every place I visited was unique. Like, for instance, we have so many parks in Kenya.
Yes.
You can visit the Masai Mara, then say, why should I visit Amboseli, the Amboseli National Park? This is because whatever you get in Masai Mara is not what you'll get to Amboseli. So there's every uniqueness in every place.
Okay, so you can't pick this was better than this. No, I mean, you can't say that you can pick a particular place just because of how unique every other place is. That is what makes it nice and different and something to look forward to. Now, let's come back to the business and try to understand the digital part of business. Because they always say digital, especially even as of now, has become a powerful tool for any kind of person doing any kind of thing. For you, how has it helped you grow your own personal brand and business?
Well, I can say like 80% of my growth is about, it's just digital. You just need to get your social media platforms, advertise them, and like support your pages. You can pay for your pages so that it can be able to reach so many other people.
Okay.
Yeah, so it has been helpful. And we have so many pages nowadays. Like we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Kila mahali.
Kila mahali.
Okay, and of course we'll be coming back to your other business because as you're, just the segment, Women at the Forefront, she's into so many other things aside from just travel. She also does something with Airbnb. Wow, I got it right. Which is sort of like a booming business, especially right now in the country. She'll be telling us more about that, what that particular business entails and how she got herself into that particular one. Now, Paris, I'm seeing you with some merchandise over there.
Yeah, sure.
Tell us more.
This is our t-shirt. We've done branding.
I like how the black looks like.
Yeah, it's Wonder Trace Adventures. We usually give this out. Like if you travel with us, maybe for the first time, we're able to give you something like a t-shirt. This will help us in marketing.
Okay.
Yeah, because once you wear it and I'm not around, you're marketing Wonder Trace Adventure. So I use it as a tool of marketing, but we also sell them. If you're interested, if you love Wonder Trace Adventures, you're part of Wonder Trace Adventures, you can acquire yours.
So selling them is for those that just want to get them and they might not be traveling.
Yes.
So if someone books a package with you and they're going to a different destination, then you give them that.
Yeah.
Which I've actually noticed that with a lot of travel agents or travel agencies, they always have these packages. If it's not hoodies, it's caps. If it's caps, it's t-shirts. It's it's buns. It's here and there. What is the importance of having this kind of merchandise, then giving it to your clients?
You're marketing your brand. You're making your brand known out there.
So it's also part of marketing?
Yeah, it's part of marketing because I can't be able to reach everyone out there. I really want people to know about Wonder Trace Adventures, but how are they going to know about it? So this is one of the ways.
Yeah.
Because I'm in Nakuru, you're in Nairobi, but once you're in this, someone will say Wonder Trace Adventures, then maybe on the social media you pass by Wonder Trace Adventure. Oh, so let me see Wonder Trace Adventure was all about what.
And there I already know about it.
Yes.
And I might never have met you.
Yeah.
So that again is the importance of having such kind of merchandise, especially in this kind of business.
Yes.
Now we said that you are a lady or a woman who wears sort of like many other different hats, except just being the travel business. You also do another one called Airbnb.
Yeah.
And you're having this convo off air, and I was telling you of how I've really heard so much about it, especially Airbnb here in Nairobi and even beyond. And it now looks like it's sort of like a booming business.
Sure.
I'd love to understand what this kind of business is all about. What does it entail? Just before we get to you as a person doing it.
Airbnb is about accommodation, like accommodation specifically maybe in Kenya, but Airbnb is just another company's name. But because it is well known because of accommodation, that's why we say Airbnb. Travel is not enough if you don't have accommodation. Once you travel somewhere, you need a place to spend. And the Airbnb is about getting apartments, fully furnished apartments. Because so many people nowadays, I've realized so many people nowadays, they prefer staying in an apartment than in hotels.
I actually did notice that too.
Yeah, this is because, or maybe of the privacy. and maybe because of the prices. Most of the Kenyan hotels are a bit expensive.
Yeah. And also one of the things I noticed is that, you know, just as you're saying that most people like to stay in apartments, you know, I once traveled to Coast and you actually realize that also in most of these apartments, there's everything, just like in a home. You know, you have your cooker there, you have your sufurias there, which you wouldn't find in a hotel. So could this also be one of the things that is making this kind of business to just be everywhere, you know, like boom, boom?
You see with Airbnb, you get an apartment. Yes, it is a vacation, so you don't need to go and cook. I can also get you someone like a chef who will help you to...
So there's also that part of it?
Yes. So they'll help you prepare your meals and you'll still have fun. Maybe if you're visiting, let me give an example with Nakuru because that's where I live.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you're traveling to Nakuru, you get this apartment. This won't limit you from visiting the Nakuru National Park. You'll enjoy Nakuru National Park and you'll have a cheaper place to stay than it could have been in the hotel.
Okay. Yeah. Now, as you also bring the conversation to a close, I can't fail to mention how COVID has affected you because you also, just from your profile I picked, that you also have employees. And I'd want to understand, in this period, how have you managed to sustain them, if at all you have, and how have you managed to keep your business together during this entire time? Difficult?
Yeah, it is.
I can imagine.
2020 is one of the saddest years. So when COVID came, lockdown followed.
Yeah.
So we had to even strain with funds. You see, I do group travels. We are no longer traveling. So I had to lay off and closed the office.
Wow. It was that extreme.
Yeah. But now we are back. So with the help of social media.
Of relief.
Yeah.
Because it's very sad to hear people losing jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, so at least now you're coming back.
We're coming back, and with the help of social media, the business is coming back.
It's coming back.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Paris, for your time, talking to us about your own personal business, as well as also just some of the things that someone needs to understand when they're getting this particular business. Sindio?
Yeah.
All right, and that's where we bring the conversation to a close. I was speaking to Paris Wangari, who is the CEO of Wonder Trust Adventures, talking to us about all that I just mentioned. But Good Morning Kenya is not yet done. We still have so much more after this break.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit.
Quickbit?
Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder.
399 shillings?
Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua free. Shilingi mbili unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi tano unaweza nunua hata gari.
So tupeleke huko hata
mtu aendi huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16, kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. $1 Million Face baby.
Tutakosa nawe vibaya sana. Kuleta wase usiku mwanzi na usemi.
Uni relative.
Mnadozaje? Room yako iko na bed moja tu.
Atutamane si for long. Yaani mimi nakuleta hapa. Alafu unanionyesha madhara.
Sinakwambia Tony amejipanga. Ukiona nyumba.
Unajua leo ni 30. Unafaa kunilipa dola rent.
Leo ni 30. Imefika haraka.
Yaani ati niko town na nakunywa maziwa ya kujikamulia. Nimekuja.
Uko smarter than Buddha.
Naitwa Taylor Made Suit.
Attest to having witnessed or participated in many medically related fundraisers, we seek to find out just how many Kenyans have felt the pinch of the high cost of medical attention in Kenya.
As much as we are talking about health care being one of the big four agenda, ni Wakenya wengi sana wa access hizi dawa, wa access matibabu, na wako tu ukitembea mitaani unapata ni wagonjwa, wengine TB, hata hizi coronavirus. The president should come to the rescue, make sure that health care is affordable to many Kenyans who are living with things like cancer, tupate pahali pa kufanyia vitu kama check up, vitu kama Kenya wengi sana ni wango. 80% of Kenyans wanakohoa. President afanye maneno basi.
Sisi hata ukienda hospitali unaweza fika huko unapata unaandikiwa madawa uende kwa chemist nje. So hapo hata pia Uhuru anafaa angalie upande wa wananchi. Pia tuangalie naangalia hiyo masirai ya hospitali.
In order to now equalize both the standards, the high and the low standards of people, I think they should provide affordable accesses to the healthcare staff.
Kenya wanafanya ni kulevelize tu hizo at least kuwe better. Tuseme kama ni consultancy watry kuloa hizo services. At least hadi mwananchi wa kawaida siku tu akienda kwa chemist na buy dawa. Because anajua akienda hosi treatment itakuwa poa yet ni expensive.
Currently, the government is doing something about that because tunajua about universal health cover, which in some counties like Nyeri, washaanza kuitumia, and of course tunajua about free maternity health. But I think there's more that the government should do. Wanafaa si wapay to certain counties kwa sababu pengine someone in Nyeri would afford the health care there, but maybe they wouldn't need the cover. So I feel wanafaa like wa give the cover to much more counties.
Kitu ya kwanza wanafaa wa make sure madrugs zinakuwa at all centers za clinic, yani nikienda kwa clinic yenye iko Kibera, nikienda kwa clinic yenye iko hapa Lang'ata, nafaa kupata the same type of drugs na cheki such a way that kama mimi naishi ghetto nikienda kutafuta drug fulani kwa clinic naweza access. So wanafaa tu yani wa equalize resources zote in such a way the common raia anaweza zi access rahisi.
Kwa hospitali mimbi unapata hakuna madawa. Kama ni x-ray unataka kupigwa x-ray, unaweza hata uende x-ray ni ya emergency, lakini unaenda unapatiwa appointment ya kurudi. Lakini sana sana unaona kama ni hawa wenye wanasimamia mambo ya afya kwa hiyo hospitali, unapata hata honga wanapokea kwa raia. So ukimwona kando, hata hiyo appointment utapatiwa haraka na hiyo x-ray itakuwa kwa hiyo hospitali. Mi kwa maoni yangu naona hivi, kama ni mambo ya health, irudishwe kwa national government.
Today,
the economy of Kenya in terms of health has actually gone very high as expected in some 30 years ago. Why? Because the government of Kenya does not even believe on themselves. If somebody is sick today, this guy will be transferred to maybe London or China for proper health care. Why can't this government of Kenya actually improve the social amenities like health, hospitals, good hospitals, so that this huge amount of money that you are wasting to take to China or wherever, that we can just do it within Kenya and everybody should actually get proper health care.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. In case you are just joining us, where were you? Tuambie, but don't worry, you're right in time for the final discussion for the day, and this is all about health. But before we get to do that, thank you so much to everyone who's watching and following the conversations on Twitter. Kuna moja najita chokora Twitter Afroboss. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for the follow. I also see Masonko, not the governor, mind you, but mtu anajita Sonko, who has also tuned in. There's also Joe. There's Kefa Bosire Nengo. There's Nehemiah, Jared Ombui, and there's Senje. Thank you so much for staying with us. We thoroughly appreciate you for making time to be with us this morning. So right now we want to get on to our health segment, and today we're going to be learning about how to take care of our ears. Yeah, we rarely have these conversations. Tunajuanga tu kitoa uchafu kwa masikio unasikianga vizuri. Ukiingiza ka earbud uko ndani, there's nothing you can compare to that ka feeling except kujikuna tu. So we want to learn how to go about taking care of our ears, the whole study in itself, and what we need to do to just prevent hearing loss. Given as we age, hearing loss it's something that is inevitable. It is part of aging. So how can we just protect ourselves as we journey through life? To help us with this conversation this morning, we have one amazing lady with us in studio this morning. She is called Nancy Kemunto. She is an audiology officer in the ear, nose, and throat department at the MP Shah Hospital. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Umerelax sasa?
Niko poa.
Butterflies disappear.
I'm good.
Out the door.
I'm good.
Karibu sana. Glad you made time to be with us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Now, before we get to this audiology bit, you have been in different departments over the past few years. You've been in the industry. Maybe you could tell us a bit about yourself, the different departments you've worked in, and how you even actually got to this audiology department that you are in now.
Well, when I cleared from school, I went straight into the HIV world.
Yes. By choice, or baptism by fire?
By choice.
Okay, that's
by
good.
Choice. Then I stayed in the field for quite a while, almost more than 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah, working with the clients. I enjoyed it. It is quite fun.
Yeah.
Regardless of what people maybe think.
What we think, yes.
Yeah, but it was good. Then at some point I decided I need to do something different.
Yes.
So I started thinking, what about ear, nose, and throat? So I applied to school, but at first I didn't get it. Then my husband introduced me to audiology, told me, you can do something about it. Then I thought, okay, what is audiology?
What are these?
Audiology? Yeah, so I kind of researched about it. Then when I applied once and I got into the University of Nairobi, we started. Our lecturer is amazing. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
Sarah Ndegwa.
Yes.
She's amazing. I enjoyed it from the word go. From the first day we got into school, started learning about ears. Our ears are amazing.
They are?
They're a small thing, but amazing.
And that is what we're going to learn about today from you.
Yeah.
And now, how long did it take you to just study this whole ideology course? Audiology. Audiology.
Audiology. In Nairobi, University of Nairobi, it takes 1 year to do the course. So it involves both theory and the practical part. Practical part being most of the time. Yeah.
And you enjoyed it?
Every bit of it.
Haukuanga na struggle?
Imagine, no. It was, I think maybe we clicked. Yeah, and it's been amazing. You know, the good thing about it is that you learn a new thing every single day.
Yeah.
It's not a routine thing, wake up, do this, do that.
You can predict the day. You cannot predict how the day will go.
No. You can't.
All right. Now let's get to this audiology concept in itself. When you talk about audiology, what exactly do we mean? What is the concept behind this whole terminology?
So we can break it down from the word itself.
Absolutely.
Audiology. Audio means to hear. Logy is the study. So when you combine the two is audiology, the study about hearing.
Yes. The study about hearing. And you know, when it comes to hearing, it's something I think most of us take for granted until you get to a point where umetoka kwa matatu unasikia the sounds are a bit muffled and you're like, hey, what is going on with my ear? But when it comes to audiology, there are different types of ear conditions that are there. And given that you are in the ENT department, maybe you could take us through the most common causes or types of hearing loss or infections or conditions. Do we call them conditions or diseases that are there?
Okay, so because we are dealing with the hearing part of the ear, so we majorly concentrate on hearing loss. Okay. So there are different types of hearing loss, and it's a wide field. Yes. But the commonest the commonest hearing losses we have the ones that are brought about by loud noise. That's the commonest one. Loud noise. We have hearing loss that are brought about by infections. Hearing losses that are brought about by having a lot of wax in your ears. So there are quite a lot.
They're quite a lot.
Yeah, but the common one, and of course, the hearing loss brought about by old age. As you age, it is inevitable. Yes.
But when it comes to children and adults, is there a difference when it comes to how it presents itself when it comes to hearing loss, the different types and how they present themselves? Maybe you could tell us a bit about that.
So with children, it normally the process of determining whether the child might have hearing loss or not actually depends from conception.
Okay.
How was the pregnancy? Was there complications? Does the mother take alcohol? Does the mother take cigarettes? Did the mother go for antenatal visits?
Clinics,
How did the mother deliver? Was it a safe delivery? Was the baby born prematurely? Because premature births also cause hearing
contribute
losses.
To hearing losses.
Yes. Then were there any complications during delivery? Did the baby go to nursery? How many days did the baby stay in nursery? Was the baby given oxygen? So that also contributes.
All that
contributes to a certain type of hearing loss.
And how is hearing loss even diagnosed? How do you go about that practical bit to determine if this person has some form of hear loss and to what degree? How is that process like?
So for babies, now that those who are delivered after delivery, before they can go home, they can do a hearing screen. With the hearing screen, we do what we call autoacoustic emissions.
Autoacoustic emissions.
Autoacoustic emissions. It's a small gadget that is placed inside the ear. It sends sounds to the ear, and the inner ear, we normally have some hairs. So when that sound goes back, if the sound comes back and is detected by the machine, and it will give you either a pass or a refer. A pass will mean that the baby is okay. A refer will mean that the baby will need more testing to determine whether there is any type of hearing loss or not. Yeah, so maybe they will undergo other testing like brain evoked responses. They are normally they are trying to sense how we involve now the brain part in terms of hearing.
How it's receiving the signals.
Exactly, how it's receiving and responding back the signals. Yeah.
And how once you do it the first time and maybe the result are not as positive, more tests need to be done before you can actually determine whether this child has any form of hearing loss, and at what age is that done?
So
especially for babies.
Yeah, for babies whom we've tested maybe natally in nursery or after delivery,
yes,
the test can still continue even up to 3 months. We can still screen at 3 months. Then as they grow, the mother is also told to observe, the milestones of the baby. Those bubbling sounds when they grow up, there are those bubbling sounds, cracking, either they respond to noise.
Yes.
Then as they grow, they'll continue being screened and tested. There are several other tests that can be done to screen and actually get the level at which the baby can hear. Yeah.
Now, yes.
For adults,
yeah.
Because sometimes you can get one infection or the other. Maybe I may say there's one disease, maybe meningitis. Some may have meningitis or any other disease that may cause hearing loss or noise. If you expose yourself to loud noise, how do we test for this? When you come in and say, maybe I feel like my hearing has gone down, we do what we call a pure tone audiometry, where we put headphones on your ears, then we test each ear individually. Then there are levels of grading the loss. So depending
from mild to severe,
from
to
mild,
complete
actually
hearing
to profound.
loss.
Yeah, to profound.
Okay.
So whatever, as we put that sound in your ear, there's a response that you'll give whether you've heard it or not. So at whatever level that you've heard it, we now take the degree. Then we see what kind of hearing loss do you have. Yeah.
Wow. Now, when it comes to the main causes that lead to hearing losses, you had mentioned those external factors that are there, as well as some congenital factors. Are there any genetic factors that predispose a person to hearing loss?
Well, yes. There are quite a number of them. There are those that are X chromosome linked. We have the X and the
Y.
Yeah, so there are those that are X linked. Then there are some syndromes with very hard names that are also linked. So genetically, so yes, genetically, there's a linkage there are some syndromes that will cause hearing loss.
Hearing loss.
Yes.
Now, maybe somebody may be watching us today and they're wondering, maybe what are those signs that can help you know whether you are having some form of hearing loss or you're having problems with your hearing? What are those classic signs that we need to look out for that could point towards hearing loss, in as much as we may not have thought it's hearing loss, but actually it is?
So, one.
Yes.
The commonest one, people will come and say, at some point I feel a ringing sound in my ear.
Wait, I've had ringing sounds in my ear.
You need to be checked.
Tunasemanga, ninasikianga hiyo, inafanyanga hivyo once every so often. Yeah, we take it so casually.
No, you should not take it casually. First of all, it depends how exposed are you. Are you exposed to loud noises?
Yes.
So, do you feel the ringing sound every time? How loud is it? What type of ringing is it? That is one. Then number two, if you keep on telling, someone is talking to you and you're telling them, what? What did you say? Repeat, please.
In as much as they may be close to you?
Exactly.
Okay.
So like maybe we are talking and you're like, huh? Maybe you're not even looking at them, because sometimes people who have hearing loss have that tendency of looking, lip reading.
Yes, to try and get the message.
Exactly. So maybe you're somewhere and someone is talking and you're like, huh? Huh? What did you say? There is a problem. Yes.
Those are the two main signs that point towards hearing loss.
Yeah, those are some of the signs.
And what of maybe when somebody is talking to you, just hear like as though your ears are muffled, like a muffling sound. You seem to seem like that the person is just mumbling things.
Exactly. That's also another sign. Maybe you're not. The sound that is coming to you is not coming the way it should come.
It's not clear.
There's something wrong with the ear is divided into 3 parts.
Yes.
Outer, middle and inner. So in either path, if the sound comes into your, what you hear and what you think you're hearing is not what you're supposed to hear, something is wrong with either part.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to complete profound hearing loss, as you had mentioned, that means there's a problem with which part of the ear?
So, let's go back to the parts of the ear.
Yes.
Outer, middle, and inner. So when you're being tested, when the headphones are being put on you, it's called air conduction. We test sound coming in directly from the environment to your ear. It goes through the three sections up to the cochlea, and you hear it. So that is air conduction. Then we have the second one that is called bone conduction, where we put it's a headphone, but it touches, there's a bony part behind your ear.
Behind the ear.
Yes, behind your
the ear to the ear. Yes, please go on.
The bony part behind your ear.
Yes.
So from that part, it communicates through bone conduction. That is sound going in through the bone, conducted by the bone to the ear.
Naturally, it's supposed to pass through.
It can.
Okay.
There is bone conduction hearing and air conduction hearing. So when we do both, air conduction will give us the viability of the whole three parts.
Okay.
That will tell us the degree of hearing loss. But when you do the bone conduction, it will tell us the type. You see, if you have a hearing loss that will, let's say it's 40, the degree of loss is 40, then the bone conduction tells us the type, whether it is sensory, neuro, or conductive. Conductive will mean it's only the conduction part that has
a problem.
Yes, but if we do now, if it goes up to the inner ear, where the nerves are now involved, now that we call sensory. Neuro.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, this reminds me of high school biology. I loved biology, so I'm just let me not say the word I was going to say, but you know, it's beautiful to understand the human anatomy.
It's exciting.
Now, when it comes to external factors that and issues to do with environmental dirt and things that go into the ear, what consequences do they have? And more so water. There's sometimes when you go swimming or taking a shower and water goes into your ear, you can literally feel it there and you feel like it sort of blocks everything. Does it have any harsh consequences to our ears?
Okay, when you go swimming and water goes into your ear, if you cannot be able to get rid of the water, please go and see a doctor so that they will be able to, you know, remove the water. What it causes a blockage, yes. Yeah. It causes a type of hearing loss, yes. But it doesn't mean that, yes, but it doesn't mean that your ear is damaged. It is until you start introducing things to your ear, that's when you start causing the damage.
Yes.
Because you don't know how far whatever you're introducing will go. Because if you poke your ear and it goes and, you know, you remember the eardrum biology?
Yes.
If you poke that eardrum, you'll also cause another type of hearing loss. And you'll also cause infections to your ear. Those infections will, you know, become other bigger infections because they'll also travel inwards.
Down to
so
the
you're
nose
also causing more harm than good.
Yes.
Yes.
And this brings me to this aspect of cleaning our ears. You know, I usually see memes going around when you unachukwanga ka cotton bud, unakalamba kidogo, then you stick it in your ear and you feel so good. How far is too far, and is that even the best way to clean our ears?
Actually, I'll tell you what my lecturer told me.
Yes.
Do not put anything bigger than your elbow into your ear.
Oh, that's very big.
So you should not put anything.
Yeah.
Yes. The ear is self-cleaning. If you feel like there are some people who produce a lot of wax, so you should just come, then we clean it for you. Yeah.
So to clean nyumbani na cotton buds is not very advisable. It's not very healthy.
Not very healthy.
And how do we clean babies' ears?
Babies' ears are not supposed to be cleaned.
They're not supposed to be cleaned?
No. They're clean. You only clean what you see.
The outer part.
The outer part. Don't go to what you don't see.
So you advised our viewers this morning who are watching us now, I have a new pack of cotton pads. Zimeningojea tu hapo.
Achana nazo.
How do we best do it when we're at home? For those who are watching us and they're like, okay, maybe I cannot always afford to go to the hospital to get my ears professionally cleaned by a medical practitioner who knows what they're doing, how do they go about just the basics that you can do at home?
Okay, first of all, I'd advise them if they can go to any clinic, there are ways they are taught how to clean the ears.
Yes.
If you're not sure of what you're doing, you can just go to the clinic near you and then they show you. My best, don't put anything.
Don't put anything in there.
Yeah.
All right, so hii tabia ka cotton bud kwa masikio, my friends. Tupatane pale meeting, we discuss that. I am guilty as charged. I quite enjoy cleaning my ears. Now, when we talk about the ears, there's always this relationship between the ears, nose, and throat. And mostly for kids, they have so many issues when it comes to ear infections, throat infections, and the nose. What is the relationship there, at least for the benefit of our viewers who are watching us?
Okay, the relationship is, okay, the ear, the nose, and the mouth, they are related because, first of all, they're in the same
cavity,
same area. So the nose is connected to the ear. There is a tube called a eustachian tube. That's why it's connected. Sometimes when you feel your ears are blocked, you see people doing, then it opens. Yeah, exactly. Then it opens up. It's connected by the eustachian tube. Then that eustachian tube also, when you're feeling, you're having a lot of mucus, you see, there's a way it's also connected to the throat. So infections that, especially common colds, there are some people who will experience temporal hearing loss when you're having the cold, and also the ear, because they are all connected.
Ndio maana ukisikia kujikuna the roof of your mouth, unakunanga masikio, as you would create that click sound. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, maybe to also mention something, just a bit.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, or maybe something. Our ears also, they do a lot in terms of our balance.
Yes.
In terms of our balance. So they are related. So when you balance yourself when you're walking, the ears are also working in terms to balance you, tell you you're going forward, you're going backward, you're falling, and they also communicate to your muscles. So they tell you, you're falling, hold. You know?
Hold on something.
Yeah, so if something is wrong somewhere, you start feeling either dizziness, that is unexplained.
There's an imbalance in your ears.
There's something wrong in the ears and you need to come and we check it. And then Pisha, we do all those services.
And how often should one get ear checkups?
Yearly.
Yearly?
Yes.
At least once every year?
Yes.
Get your ears checked?
Yes.
And when it comes to hearing loss, now my colleague was very keen to be part of this conversation, Sam Joroge. He has been using headphones for a very prolonged time. And ni kama anaona kuna vinye things are not working as they're supposed to.
In Joroge, you should come and see me for that matter. Yes. And also, you know, especially now you guys, you put...
I have an earpiece.
Exactly.
This one you can see here.
Yeah.
It's for communication.
Exactly. So there is a risk to that also.
Yes.
So you should also be screened yearly, especially in Joroge if you have a problem.
And this is tied to prolonged use.
Prolonged use, and also how loud is
the
it?
levels.
The level, the sound level, how loud is it? So if you're putting a loud sound, even people who use earphones, how loud
are you listening to what you're listening to?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Even
if it is too loud, you should come see me.
You should get checked. And if you have some degree of hearing loss, is it reversible, or you just now have to deal with it where it is and look for aids too, and not necessarily the hearing aids, but adjusting to that particular level of hearing loss?
There are different types of hearing loss. If you see like the ones people who have impacted wax, and they at that point they have a hearing loss. But once the wax is cleaned, the hearing also improves. There are people who may have a perforated eardrum, and it brings about a certain loss. There are chances that when that eardrum is fixed, the hearing will improve. And there are those whose hearing cannot reverse.
Yes.
So for such people, we fix hearing aids for them. We do what we call programming, trying to basically increase the quality of sound and the level, try to increase the level level of sound that they hear.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, when it comes to these hearing aids, do they wear over time such that you need to get them a new piece over time, over a certain period of time, or that all depends with the particular gadget that you've been given?
Okay, that also, they wear. And we normally do what you call servicing for those hearing aids.
Yes.
So depending on what hearing aid you choose, because they're quite different.
Yes.
And different companies also have different types of hearing aids. So depending on the one you choose, there is what you call servicing, and that is what you call programming. If a hearing aid also has an improved version of what they had previously, we can improve.
It is advisable.
It is advisable to improve, and it's also good that you also go for tests yearly, so that to check whether the hearing aid that you have is giving you.
It's still effective.
Yeah, it's still effective, and it's still giving you what you need to get.
Okay, and maybe there's someone watching us this morning and they have an ear aid, and they've always had problems when it comes to taking care of it. The basics of taking care of your hearing aids. What would you advise them this morning?
Basics. Okay, first, using the hearing aid. Use it maximally, especially if you're during the day, you're going maybe to work or somewhere. Have it in your ear, working in your ear on a daily basis.
Yes.
When you're going to sleep, there's normally a kit given to them and a container where you put the hearing aid in, so that and then you open up the battery so that it doesn't get moist and start rusting. Then don't go swimming with your hearing aids. Then just basically that. Then how to clean the hearing aids, if you're not sure how to do it, there's normally a session on how to take care of those hearing aids, how you clean it, how you properly fit it into your ear so that it gives you maximum of what it's supposed to give you, how to remove it, how to keep it.
Absolutely. Now there's Mama Randy and Randolph who are watching us and they're saying very insightful discussion. Say hi to Nancy. Hi.
Hi.
Amesalimika. And there's also Sue who is asking, I get this waxy liquid coming out of my ear. Is it just wax or there could be a problem?
Now it depends what the liquid, how it looks like, how liquidy it is, how does it smell, what's the color of that liquidy thing. So
could be a discharge coming from the ear.
Yes. What kind of discharge is it? What color? Does it have a smell? Does it not have a smell?
Yes.
You need to see a doctor. If there's anything coming out of your ear and you're not sure what it is, you need to see a doctor. Yeah. So to have it checked.
Jonte anasema sisi watu wa Rongai na matatu zetu, how safe are we?
You are not safe, trust me. Because every time you expose yourself for more than 6 hours in a noisy environment every single day.
6 hours as a block or in pieces, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. So long as you expose yourself every day to that loud noise, you're reducing your ear by 20%.
Shy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time you by 20%, you're cutting off 20%
your hearing capabilities.
Yes.
All right. Now, given that you are not able to control all these factors that just interfere with the hearing capabilities and could lead eventually to hearing loss, how do we best go about protecting our ears naturally without really involving a lot of mechanics and tools here and there?
Naturally.
Yes.
Avoid loud noise. Keep a safe environment wherever you are, as in dust-free. And, when you're in your house, don't, boom, boom, boom. Don't poke your ear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't do all that.
Don't.
All right. And for those who are wondering how they can get in touch with you just to get more information in regards to how hearing, woo, issues to do with their audio capabilities and hearing problems, how can they do so?
Okay. I work at Tempisha.
Okay.
They can find me there every day, Monday to Saturday, 8 to 5. On Saturday is 8 to 12. Our clinic is open. You can walk in. We can do screenings for you, and we can there are consultations. If you just want to talk, we can talk.
Yes.
Then there are screening, there are testing procedures that go on at an affordable price. And we have all those gadgets. For those who have hearing aids, we can service them for you. We can program them for you. We can do fitting. You can come in anytime.
Now, before we get to wind up, Jose is asking, I missed the point with earphones and headphones, especially the ones that are soundproof. How safe are they? I know you touched on this, but for the benefit of our viewer, once again, issues to do with earphones and headphones and the soundproof ones that give you high quality sound.
Exactly, they give you high quality sound, but at what volume are you hearing at?
So the problem is not the earphones or the headphones.
Yes,
it is the sound level.
It's the sound level. The earphones and the headphones have no problem at all.
Yes,
you can use them.
Yes,
but at what sound are you putting that music to hear? Are you your neighbor hear what you're hearing? That's the thing.
That's the problem.
Yeah, soundproof, whatever, it's okay. At what level are you hearing that music at?
Okay.
Maximum or, just minimum.
Yes.
Yeah. So the issue is the sound level and not the earphones themselves.
Or the headphones per se.
Yeah.
All right. So I hope that answers you as well as my colleague Sam. He declared that he will no longer be using his headphones because they have in one way or the other compromised his hearing. Hearing. Guy. It is well. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming through and just sharing with us this information when it comes to taking care of our ears. We wish you the absolute best as you continue with this journey you are on.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure, and you can call me anytime.
Anytime. Yes. She is Nancy Kemunto, who is an audiology officer at the ENT department at MP Shah. That brings us to a close of this segment in the headlines, but we have to call it a day with Zikho. So do stay with us to just meet the crew once more before we get to call it a day.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I'm good. I can hear everything that is happening around me. Thank you so much, by the way, for that discussion, Jane. Very much insightful and timely, especially for me, because I had Beats by Dre, Nilizipeana. I had JBL's, Nilizipeana. So just like your story, Tana.
Declaring.
I know, for real. Like, when it gets to a point where you feel like, this is getting a little bit too much.
You are getting that muffled sensation in your ear?
Well, I didn't get the sensation, but at times you would feel,
kuna venye?
Nika after kuitumia umechoka, especially around this area. So I decided, by the way, I don't want to compromise my hearing.
You don't.
But again, a checkup is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, so now that I have one, I will rise up to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And go get checked. Because I think very few people would actually say, I'm going to get my ears checked today.
I know it sounds a bit bougie, right?
Bougie behaviors. As would be thought.
Yeah. But I would, in fact, if we had arranged properly, we would have done that checkup right here, right now.
On air, to just
give
people
right here, right now.
A picture of what happens.
Exactly.
But at least we've given out the information. That's a starting point. So watu wa kuingiza cotton buds kwa masikio.
And the fact that ears are naturally cleansing. They cleanse themselves naturally. But I've seen crazy stuff on medical videos. Have you watched them on YouTube and Facebook? People who have stones for wax
coming out of the ear,
stuck right inside their ear. Wengine wanatolewa cockroach
kwa masikio.
Did it even get there?
And maybe since you're here, Nancy, and you're winding the program up with us, those insects, when they die in the ear, how long can they stay there before they start bringing issues?
And will they be tickling you?
Of course, they'll be tickling you. You will feel it. how long? It won't even, yourself, you'll even take yourself and say, oh, there's something in my ear. There's something in my ear. So people try to do all sorts of, put water, put oil, you know, trying to bring it out. If you cannot bring, if you've tried maybe putting, and it can't, please, just come and we do it for you.
Yes.
Yeah, because as you try poking it and removing it and putting whatever you're putting, you're either pushing it further inside or you're also doing damage to your ear.
All right. Hey, na director kuna maswali ingine. Najua, okay, do you take it?
This, you know, you see, that's why the entire time I was just quiet, because kuna part na feel kama zimeni target, but it's all for the, as in it's all for
glory of God.
That's why I was quiet then, because it's like I was processing. And you see this entire interview, nimetaka tu kukaa nisikize. First off, because mimi ni wale wa kuvaa earphones na naekanga sauti yote, and then you see after a while nikishatoa earphones naanza kusikia nikana jikuna for a long time. So now I think I better understand, just from what Nancy has mentioned, that the problem is not the earphones or the headphones, it is the levels.
Yes.
That is what the issue is. Na pia Mr. Producer alikuwa pale anauliza ule wakati umeenda kuogelea majini. Maji kaingia kule ndani ya masikio, alafu unaambiwa fanya hivi.
Gonga
ipande. Kama umeinama. Is that really the right thing to do? Nancy.
Okay, when you do that, some of the water normally comes out. You know, you just put yourself in a lying position.
Gravity helps.
Yeah, it helps to.
So you bend that way, then you
if you just do it, bend yourself, you know, in the gravity way, it will come out. But if it doesn't come out and you still feel like there's still some water inside, just go.
There's an issue.
Yeah, just go to the hospital.
And you know, for me, what scared me the most is this thing called Google. So I just went searching, and then they said,
WebMD.
Yeah, for real. They were talking about if you get accustomed to headphones and earphones for a very long time, you may wake up one morning and your hearing is gone.
Completely.
But again, Nancy, are there signs, stages, red flags before you get there? Because at times people have the red flags, like what Doreen is saying, anasikia kujikuna, but
then after a while inaisha.
Do you have red flags to know that my hearing sasa easy headphones apana, easy earphones apana?
As I told Jane, if you start hearing the ringing sound, that loud ringing sound, that's number one. Yeah. Number two, if you're with your friends, like maybe we are here today, then I've just said something and you're like, huh? Come again. Then they repeat and they still, come again. There is a problem. Maybe you're in a room, maybe you're having a gathering, or you're in church.
Yeah.
Okay? You're in church, there are very many people, maybe they're singing a hymn, and it's a hymn you clearly know, you've been singing that hymn since you were a kid. But what you hear is not what you're supposed, not like the way the lyrics goes, as in you hear. Yeah, you hear some, you know, mumbling, a muffled, distorted sound completely. Opposite of what you are used to hearing.
Yeah.
Or you're in a room and maybe you're in a kitambo when COVID was not there, when maybe you're in a bash or something, and someone is trying to talk to you. There is a conversation at the background, but you're trying to listen to what that person is saying, and you're like, you're seeing the mouth moving, but you cannot hear what they are saying, because there is usually that effect with people talking in the background, and maybe you're trying to listen to someone. If you cannot listen to what that person is saying in that room, there's a problem.
And are these problems reversible?
There are some that are, there are some that are not.
Okay. But for me, I've been hearing everything we've been talking about in here, so I guess that is sign number one. I'm saying
you're not doing badly.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have that kati sound, so again, I'm safe.
Good.
And I can listen to someone at the background of music, so
you're not doing badly.
Yeah.
Now there's one Nancy who's watching us, and she's asking the question to do with overstimulation, over-sensation when it comes to the ears. What leads to that? The fact, to a point that you need sound blockers to sort of block out any noises that come in. Is that part of hearing loss, or what condition is that?
Yes, now that one is called hyperacusis.
Hyperacusis?
Hyperacusis. You get, it's normal to everyone, but to you it is too loud. It's over sensation of your ears. There's that threshold that we normally have for normal people. Then we call it a dynamic range. There's that normal range for people, for normal hearing people. Then if you have a type of hearing loss, or so that person may be having a type of hearing loss, because if you are sensing sound, it means your dynamic range has shortened. It's shorter. If for normal people is 100, yours maybe has gone to 60. So there's something wrong. Yeah,
that's part of hearing loss, actually.
Yes, there might be hearing loss for that person.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Najua tunasemanga when you are expectant, all your sensations are heightened. Tunasikianga vitu unaenda kusema, your thoughts. And maybe sometimes it could be a condition, but hey, until you go to a profession, that is when you will know whether it is you are on the hearing loss track or it's just kusikia, it's just pregnancy.
And I think from this whole conversation now we should normalize those checkups.
Yes, absolutely.
We should, because sometimes there's some unavoidable, just as you had asked, Wambo, you had asked Nancy, that probably you're in this public spaces, kwa matatu, then muziki kopale, those are things that you probably can't avoid. So this is why I think it's very important. We just normalize it. Don't feel like it's a bougie kind of thing. Sure. Just normalize it.
Okay, and as we draw the conversation to a close, for those who are in those loud matatus, headphones, advisable to just use them to block out the excess sounds? Or earphones?
Yes.
Okay. So watu waronga, mati zetu ni zi, lakini si mzuri kwa masikio.
Nakujia hizo JBL.
Utazikujia. Nitazikujia, sio utazikujia.
Jibu ndio hiyo.
Jibu ndio hiyo. So if you use public transport that plays music that is too loud, just use earphones to block out the excess sounds. Earphones, if you have the soundproof ones, whatever you have to just protect yourself. Be your first line of defense. All right. So that is all the time we had for today's discussion. Thank you so much once again, Nancy. We thoroughly appreciate you for being with us. So she is Nancy, she is Doreen, he is Samuel Jeroge, and Regina also is part of the crew. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another beautiful edition of Good Morning Kenya. Have a lovely day. God bless. See you tomorrow. I'm Jane.
Again.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
You give this back to me.
If you have courage, then meet me downstairs. Let me see how brave you really are.
I had never thought as such that you'll turn out to be a thief.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
What?
None of that will hold you back now.
I still see him, Patrick. I still want to get his approval.
Look, he gave you his approval when he left you this gym. Now, the only person whose approval you need to get is your own.
Usijidanganye wewe. Nukta mbili tu unaweza jikuta huko Tororo. You should feel lucky that I'm involving you in this.
Goodness. Kwani unamjua?
Alikufa juzi kwa vita ya baa. Unamjuaje?
Alikuwa vita ya baa.
Next on
Yes, my youth, them a feel love them father.
Oh, you're gonna nice up the party, nice up the party, nice up the party now.
Oh gosh, baby, baby, come back. You know you're all that I've got.
Every day we are go fight. I think it's best that you forget me. You only need
flame is burning low. Only hate the road when you're missing home.
Hizi nguo zilikuwa zinavaliwa nyakati za kitambo, sana sana walikuwa kienda sherehe, walikuwa wanavaa hizi manguo zimetengenezwa juu ulikuwa unapata Wajaluo ni watu walikuwa wanapenda style. Kwa hivyo ni watu walikuwa hata wakiwa kwa mtoni walikuwa wakipanda ndizi, na unajua hata ndizi bado ilikuwa inasaidia sana kama mtu alikuwa amekufa na hajazikwa, walikuwa wanazika ndizi kwa hiyo nafasi yake. Kwa hivyo iko na umuhimu sana kwa mila na desturi ya Kijaluo. Ulikuwa unapata kama watu wamekufa, kama wanaenda ball na masherehe kadha zile za mila na desturi za kitamaduni. Kitu ilinspire venye nilienda kwa museum ya Kango ka Jaramogi, nikapata kuna picha moja iko hapo kwa ukuta ambayo imechorwa na maganda ya ndizi. Na hapo zamani najua sisi kama Wajaluo tulikuwa tunavaa hizo manguo za mandizi. Sasa hapo ndo nikaanza udesign. Curator mwenye ako hapa akanielezea na akaniambia hizi ni vitu za maana sana za mila na desturi ya kitamaduni ya Kijaluo. Sasa hapo ndo nilipoanza kufuatilia na akaniambia nitaenda mbali niweke tu bidii. Tengenezwa na maganda ya ndizi na imeshikanishwa na gamba. Design zangu mimi naweza angalia design hivi na niamue kutengeneza, bora inifurahishe na itanifit mimi mwenyewe. Sasa ndo mimi huangalia, naweza angalia design hivi na niamue hii nataka kutoa kama hivi. Kwa hivyo naweza sema ni kama kipawa, kwa sababu vitu mingi unapata tu unafanya na inakuja inatokea venye ulikuwa unataka. Na sijasomea ati nimesomea design ama nini, napata ni natural. Inaweza chukua wiki moja ama hata wiki mbili, inategemea na design gani unataka kutengeneza, kwa sababu unaweza tengeneza design uone kama haikufurahishi na wewe mwenyewe ndio unataka kuvaa, inabidi unarudi tena kwa drawing board, unarudi tena kuangalia ni nini sijaifanyia. Kwa hivyo hata unaweza tengeneza hii design, baada ya wiki moja umeibadilisha ikakuwa design nyingine. Kitu ina motivate juu unapata maboi wengi wamepotea sana sana, kwanza hapa Kibira wamepotea, wengine wamekufa. Walikufa kwa njia ya uhalifu ama kwa njia mbaya, wengine wamekufa tu kifo kawaida. Kwa hivyo sasa ukipata wenye tuligrow nao kwa hii mtaa unapata wako ni wachache sana, wanaweza hesabika. Kwa hivyo mimi naweza sema Mungu amenisaidia kwa sababu nafanya kitu tofauti yenye hakuna watu wengine wanafanya. Kwa hivyo pia inanimotivate sana. Na naweza kusema mtu yote mwenye akona kitu anaweza fanya, Mungu tu ndo atamsaidia. Hizi nguo kujifunza kuzitengeneza, nilianza tu kidesign polepole tukiwa na kijana mmoja anaitwa Sambusa ambaye amekuwa akinisaidia sana, na ambaye yuko hapa karibu, lakini amekuwa akinisaidia sana. Tunasaidiana kimawaidha na anazidi kunisaidia bado jinsi venye naweza unganisha na mbali sijatengeneza vizuri, bado alikuwa anaweza kunielezea. Kuna kofia, kuna briefcase, kuna half coat hapo, kuna tuxedo suit na zingine, na baadhi ya zingine ziko hapo chini, na kofia, viatu, hizi boots. Inategemea umevaa nguo gani, ile imetengenezwa na nje ama ile imetengenezwa na side ya ndani. Kwa hivyo kama ni side ya ndani na kuanga soft na flexible, unaweza kaa hata chini na watchball. Lakini kama ni ile side ya nje, na unajua katikati ya mafansa huwezi enda kukaa chini, na wewe ndo wanakuangalia ama wewe ndo lazima morali ingie juu. Kuna wengine wakiniona wanasema tayari kama umeshafika kila kitu tunajua iko sawa. Kwa hivyo hauwezi kaa chini na umeenda kushabikia timu, lazima uchangamke tu katikati ya watu. Nimetokea kwa gazeti mara mingi sana, mpaka kwa magazine, mpaka kwa magazeti za nje. Lakini kutokea kwangu kwa gazeti ulinipatia motisha, na bado nazidi kung'ang'ana tu niendelee mbele na nizidi kurudisha hii nyumbani. Hii kampuni niweze kuirudisha nyumbani huko Kisumu, kwa sababu kama mtaa Kisumu unapata vijana wanavuta gum sana. Kwa hivyo tunaweza waambia waache kuvuta gum, wakuwa wanatengeneza manguo kama hizi na kampuni iweze kuwa kubwa and give back to the community. Hiyo ndio inaweza kuwa kitu ya maana sana kwangu. Kwenye baba alikuwa anaapishwa, hii Biblia ni ile iliapisha baba huko Uhuru Park. Kogelo tulikuwa huko Obama akikuja. Baadhi ya changamoto ambayo napitia, unaweza pata umeenda kwa sherehe, watu wanaona kama wewe ni wazimu, unapita katikati ya watu, wanaona kama umerukwa na akili. Walingine unaenda wanaona huyu hapana, huyu haifai aingie hapa. Kuna watu wanasema wanataka watengezewe, lakini akiambia mtu gharama ya hizo manguo hawezi kubali, kwa sababu anaweza ona tu ni vitu zingine hivi tu, lakini ukimwambia gharama ambayo imetumika hapo ndo umpigie, hawezi, anaogopa. Wengine wanaogopa. Lengo langu kuu ni tusiache mila na desturi na utamaduni wetu, kwa sababu watu wakishafika huku town, watu wengi sana wanabadilisha mpaka majina, hawataka kuitwa na zile majina zao za ushago. Mtu hataki kuwa associated yeye ni Mjaluo, anajigeuza kabisa, hata mpaka inafanya mama yake ama familia yao inabaki kumtafuta akiwa ampotelea mjini. Kwa hivyo mimi ningependa sana tukumbuke nyumbani na tuweze kurudi na tuweze kuhisi sisi ni Waafrika, na usiogope kuambia mtu mahali ulitoka. Yenye nafanya naamuka asubuhi na tunafanya nataka kutengeneza mamuo, tunapata hii kitu ni kama iko kwa damu, na kwa Kijaluo inaitwa juogi. Lazima uifanye, ni kama mrogi mwenye anaenda kuroga usiku, lazima aamuke aende aroge ndo asikie kama amepata hiyo afueni. Bila kufanya hivyo, hiyo kitu itamshika tu, hata anaweza pita na mlango. Sasa hiyo ni kama changamoto, hiyo ni kama iko tu kwa damu, juu hata watu wengi wana expect ukuje juu wakikuona hivi wanaona yenyewe una represent culture, na wengine wanapenda culture. Kwa hivyo sasa hiyo kitu iko tu kwa damu. Nikipatana na wadhamini, naona hata hizi vitu zangu tunaweza kuwa sasa venye walikuwa wanasema watu inafaa warudi kwa wakivaa Friday, watu wakuwa wakivaa nguo za kitamaduni. Kwa hivyo mimi kila Friday naweza kuwa ni full suit kuanzia juu mpaka chini. Mungu akinisaidia hata naweza weka museum yangu, eco friendly museum. Ili hapo kuna mandizi, kuna museum hapo. Sasa mtu anaweza kuja, anaingia kwa museum, anaingia anakula mandizi, anaingia anapata workshop iko hapo. Nimesanya watoto wote wa mtaani badala ya kuvuta gum, wakiwa wakifanya hii kazi, na hizi waweze kunufaika kutokana na hii project. Mi advice yangu ama ushauri yangu kwa wale watu wanatumia art ama watu wanafanya art, usiangalie mtu na usiangalie mtu mwingine ati unataka kufanya kama mtu mwingine, utapotea. Kwa sababu kama una hiyo juogi, hiyo ninakwambia hiyo iko kwa damu, hauwezi fanya kitu mwingine anafanya. Na kwa sababu wale watu wanajua hiyo, wale wanaijua, wanaitambua ni wachache mno, na wale wanakupatia motisha. Kuna wale wanakuambia yenyewe kitu unafanya ni vizuri, na kuna wale wanaona yenyewe kitu inafai kuwe hivyo, inafai kuwe hivyo, wanakuambia bado hii inafai ifanywe hivi na hivi. Hao ndio watu inafaa uangalie, kwa sababu unaweza enda ufike mahali upate yenyewe hii kitu ulikuwa unaenda kupata, lakini kulingana na wale watu wakakuangalia ili wakurudishe chini, ama wakakuangalia ili waweze kukuweka chini. Lazima ukue tu na hiyo hiyo juogi, ndio itazidi kukusukuma. Bila hiyo utaweza fanya ati mtu anafanya, utapotea. Kwa hivyo mimi najivunia hapo mbali nimetoka na mbali bado naenda.